guys will be pretty quick. You'll be out before the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our June 24th, 2025 regular public Board of Education meeting. May I ask you to please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up on our meeting tonight is our approval of our agenda. Can I get a motion, please? Henry, second Katie. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? 7-0. Next up is our superintendent's report. Mr. Poole.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. This is our final meeting of the year. Can you believe we're all the way here? And I just want to give a quick thank you to our Board of Education for all of their volunteer work, for a fabulous school year, to our staff, to our PTA and O, and most importantly to our students who make every year awesome here at Shoreham-Wading. Just a few announcements. Athletics for the 24-25 school year wrapped up with some of our students attending the state championships for track and field. We had some strong individual performances. Sophomore Ellie Connell set a personal record at the state meet in a 200-meter steeplechase, finishing 6th overall in the state in that event. Michael Hubner set a new school record in the 800-meter with a time of 153.37 seconds, finishing 6th. And Leighton Mangiamelli took 4th place in the long jump with another new school record of 22 feet 9 inches. Congratulations to all of the student athletes this year and all their accomplishments. Go Wildcats. Over at the, I do miss the student ex officio members. I'm picking up their parts again.
I see that.
On Wednesday, June 18th, the high school seniors had their senior prom at Giorgio's. By all accounts, it was a beautiful, picturesque venue full of dancing, laughter, lasting memories, music, refreshments. Students had a fantastic time along the way. Thank you to the high school for putting that together every year for our students. Also at the high school, 3 Shoreham-Wading River High School students were honored at the Long Island Science Congress, a very prestigious science event on the island. Award ceremony on June 13th. Alex Jasenko won an award from the ASM International for his project on lithium-ion batteries in the Senior Division Fair. Avery DeBono and Will Lister were awarded high honors in the Junior Division Fair for their DNA barcoding project on ants. The trio are students in the high school science research course taught by our amazing independent science research teacher, Dana Schaefer. And also, you'll recognize these names. These students have come to present to the board over the course of the school year. But advanced science research seniors, Anna Minetti, Juliana O'Neill, Sasha Seletskaya, and Caitlin Schaefer presented at the recent Shoreham-Wading River Science Research Showcase, highlighting the important work they've conducted over the 4-year program, and really importantly, sharing their own personal growth and journey over the 4 years in independent science research. So congratulations to those students for all their efforts. I have no doubt that those 4 students next year or in college and beyond are going to be rock stars in the field of science.
Absolutely.
Over at the middle school, the middle school hosted our 5th graders for an orientation on Friday of the building. Started in the auditorium. They had presentations from Mr. Van, our school counselors, and each 5th grade class was accompanied by 6th, 7th, and 8th graders to tour the school. So they saw all parts of the school, got a little familiar with the layout. They got to observe and learn a little bit about lockers, the music program, and just how the building operates as a whole. So good transition evening for them. And then on June 10th, the building celebrated the Visit the Prodell Palette online gallery. So there is a new Prodell Palette website, a digital gallery. That link is available in Parent Square, but we will thank Ms. Finnegan, who invited staff and families to celebrate our students' creativity and hard work by visiting the site. We'll have to make sure that link gets out a little bit broader for all of us. Over at Miller Avenue, yesterday was really a wonderful send-off thanks to the PTA PTO. It had a Toy Story theme, and it goes so quick to see those students that were just here a few short years ago in kindergarten, but they had their traditional send-off here at the high school, and I know this week a lot of great things are planned for 2nd graders for the week. Tonight on the agenda, we are celebrating our retirees. We had a reception earlier. I want to thank our middle school ensemble, Mr. Volz, and our expert pianist, Mia Wentz, for amazing performances to all of them. Tonight on the agenda is the first read of the required New York State bell-to-bell cell phone policy aligned to New York State law. I outlined that at the last meeting. That policy is on the agenda. On the agenda as well, I just want to make note, is the approval for additional dual enrollment credit through Five Towns College for additional music and art courses eligible now for college credit. The district offers 38 dual enrollment courses at the high school for college credit and 21 AP courses. Some of those courses align, where you could get one or the other. But that huge offering for students really lines up with the strategic planning goal of increasing college level coursework for all students at the high school. So increasing access to the arts for students to have a college level experience is going to open up to more students. I want to thank Mr. Meinster, high school administration and directors for making that happen. And then finally on the agenda tonight, we have a presentation on universal free meals and our food service program. New York State adopted a budget in April, which included a provision for universal free meals. The district, Mr. Arcuri, Ms. Polino, have been gathering information in preparation for tonight to share information on the National School Lunch Program, which is an initial first step requirement for access to the universal meal program. So thank them for putting all the information together. And graduation is this Friday night, hopefully. Weather looks good right now. Tomorrow morning is the grade 5 moving up ceremony here in the high school, and on Thursday evening is the middle school moving up ceremony. So a lot of great things happening in the last couple of weeks. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Poole. A lot of great celebrations and things to look forward to this week. Next up will be, actually, I'll ask the board. Anyone have anything they want to share with the community? Opportunity for board members? Nope? Okay, very good. Going to move right down to student and staff recognitions. As Mr. Poole mentioned, tonight is a night to celebrate our retirees. I'd like to ask Mr. Hayward to come on up and to, right? Is that okay? Yeah, okay.
I'll be inviting the
Oh, you're
the
going up
principals
to the podium, or are you staying here?
So I'll be up here. It's my pleasure to recognize 11 people who will be retiring this year, who are with us this evening. And to begin with, I would like to invite Claudia Smith, principal of Miller Avenue, to speak about Maria Mayo.
There you go.
Good evening, and thank you so much for this opportunity. Maria, I am so honored to present tonight in your honor after 23 years of service in the Shoreham-Wading River School District. For more than 2 years, you have truly been a cornerstone in our community, serving as a teacher assistant and working with our youngest students at both Briarcliff and Miller Avenue. But to just call you a teacher assistant, that does not describe who you are. You are truly the heart and soul of Miller Avenue School. Every morning as the buses arrive, children rush through the door, Maria's there. With her smile and her guidance and her unwavering dedication. She is a leader with our arrival and our dismissal since I've been at Miller Avenue, ensuring that every child that comes in the building and leaves the building feels safe and gets to their class and gets home. Do not get in Maria's way during arrival and dismissal. I can tell you that, because she takes her responsibilities very seriously. In fact, one of her team members has dubbed her as Spicy Mayo. Because she issues orders, but only to make sure that things run appropriately, like clockwork. So the nickname captures your dedication, your love, your humor, but most importantly, your care for the students. Your impact has gone well beyond each of the walls at Miller Avenue. You are always a step ahead of everyone. Asking about Thanksgiving Yum Yum books in September. Asking about Christmas when we're picking out Halloween costumes. Her desk drawers are legendary for being filled with treats, and she decorates her hallways and her bulletin boards, often with things that she has purchased off Amazon. Maria is always the first to volunteer at school for field days, for end-of-the-year celebrations, behind-the-scenes coordinator, organizing restaurants, managing collections. Impossible, effortless. Often she does these things before we even know that this has to even happen. Maria, you truly possess a rare and beautiful quality. You are kind, and it shines through in everything that you do. One of your colleagues said, if there was a book of expressions and the author needed a picture for Heart of Gold, it would be Maria. To our students, she has been an absolute source of comfort and encouragement. She has helped children tie their shoes, dry their tears, celebrate their achievements, teach them how to read, feel confident in their ability to learn. And the impact you have had on the students of Shoreham-Wading River is truly, truly immeasurable. The truth is, Maria, you are absolutely irreplaceable. I am thrilled that you are embarking on your retirement, and I know you would like to travel and spend time with your family, but you are on the sub list. So you can be expected to be called. Maria, on behalf of the Shoreham-Wading River community, I would like to thank you and congratulate you on your retirement. You have earned every moment of the joy and relaxation that lie ahead. We will miss you terribly, but we know that wherever life takes you, you will continue to spread warmth and kindness defined by your career. Thank you so much for your 23 years.
Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Parinello, Lou Parinello, the principal of Wading River School, to speak about Anna Andrews-Acker.
All right, you ready, Anna? I remember you joined us back in 2012, 13, right around that time. You were over at Wading River, working with Mr. Donahue, and you jumped in, supported all the students and staff, wide range of needs. I remember you were right in tune with all the kids with diabetes, right over the, right across the board, working with my nurse, everything. How do we manage this? What do we do? Bringing different ideas, making sure everyone was safe. In addition to the litany of things, the Band-Aids, the mosquito bites, the tick bites, my tummy hurts coming into your office every few minutes. I would go in there and go, oh my God, because it was this constant movement back and forth. Now, not only kids would come into your office, I would see adults as I transferred over to Wading River School, and we worked for many years together. And you took on the role of taking on the lead nurse for our district, which was amazing for all of us. You revised everything from our field trips to how we do emergency procedures. When we call, and other nurses would latch on to you and call and say, Anna, what do we do for here? It's like you had speed dial, Suffolk County Department of Health and New York State Department of Health on your phone. I know, it was happening all the time. So just before vacation, all the kids leave, right? And there's Anna and I were walking, the kids, the buses all left, and Anna's walking back to the building because she always would stay late and do those kinds of things. And one mom pulls into the parking lot like a tirade, with her daughter in there, and she goes, no, I have to talk to Mrs. Acker. Mrs. Acker, I have to talk to you. And I was, all right, Mrs. Acker's right here. And she's like, look, my daughter's really sick. I don't know what's going on, but I need to know what you think first. What's your opinion? And she wanted to know what your opinion is before she went to her own doctor. And so you gave her some suggestions. You were very polite. And then the mom, I remember, called up like after vacation, thanking you and those sort of things. But that was commonplace where teachers, parents would come to you, confide in you, and it was just amazing that you would do that. So, not to bring you back in time, but there was this little thing that called a pandemic, that if anybody tries to block out, it was there, it was real. And Anna was a big part of our response as a district. And this is a shining example of your dedication, commitment, and genuine concern to excellence for everyone. You were collaborative with everyone in the district. And our school teams, you helped us open up safely and successfully. And I know you would call Mr. Poole and everything like that. You'd be like, okay, what do you think? I don't know. I gotta run this by Jerry. And back and forth, and to the board and everything else. And you were the voice of reason and safety on the building and district level, poring over the regulations to help ensure everyone was safe and we were okay to come to school. Wading River School did not miss one single day of instruction. Remember when the schools used to shut down if somebody got sick or whatever the case may be, we needed to shut down? Not one single day during the worldwide pandemic. And in a large part, this community has you to thank, Anna Acker. Your leadership, thoughtfulness, constant collaboration, often well beyond the regular school hours, on weekends, whatever time in the morning, the phone calls were exemplary. Throughout your time with us, you worked hand in hand with families, faculty, district office, everyone, and I counted on you. Everybody did. You were a fierce advocate for all the students. Believe me, I've been in meetings with this woman, and her straightforward, can-do attitudes in some ways reflects your farming background, I believe. You always wanted to plant new ideas and make the world a better place. Beyond your medical responsibilities, Mrs. Acker, Anna played a crucial role in our school's environmental efforts. She would get so flustered if somebody didn't recycle a plastic bottle or if somebody threw something away. So you advocated for and started our own recycling program at the school. Even though it was like prior to the district getting in, you'd have the big bottle outside, which is still there, we do it. The students would recycle, they take it home, they do it, they use the money to help invest and do other things, the kids. Instilling a sense of responsibility and sustainability in our students and staff. You joined us on field trips. You loved to go to the Bronx Zoo, Fire Island, Philadelphia, New York City, making sure everyone had the right medical bags. You ordered them, you're like, we have to upgrade, we're gonna do this, no more plastic bags for you. And students and staff were well cared for. You volunteered at countless special events, paying careful attention to the health needs. That was your focus. And the well-being of all. As a matter of fact, I remember you delivering bales of hay over at Miller Avenue. Remember that? For the square dance? That was pretty incredible. There's Anna unloading and loading the bales of hay. That's what you did. You volunteered your time. It's been an honor, Anna, to work with you. And to witness your dedication firsthand. You are greatly missed currently, right now, at this moment. I wish you would just come back and Bruce would just move up here, forget about it, but he loves Florida, so what can I tell you? And SWR and the difference you made will echo for generations to come. I wish you, Bruce, Heather, Holly, Natalie, and your entire family worlds of happiness as you head out and on to new adventures. Gonna miss you, Hannah. Okay, you got it.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. I have had the dream job, and I've really, truly loved my whole history with SWR. And I miss Lou, and I miss Wading River and the kids. But you'll see me, so thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Parinello, you can stay up here. If you could say a few words. He was not able to be with us today, but for Mr. Paul Gansey.
Oh, Mr. Gansey. All right. Yeah, I've got a few words for Mr. Gansey. So Mr. Gansey was one of the first teachers I met after starting to work in SWR. I was walking down the hallway at Miller Avenue School, and this guy comes up. He looked very similar to he does today. Hair, maybe a little bit more hair on top, but pretty shiny on top. And he comes up to me, and he goes, he's reflecting on his years teaching at Miller Avenue. He looks at me, and he goes, "Oh, you're the new guy. Yeah, okay. You're not going to see much of me at all. I left. I'm going to the middle school. See you later. Good luck." And he put his hand on my shoulder. And that was the last I saw of him for about, 10, 15 years. And then I move over to Wading River School, and he comes with me from the middle school. And he walks into my office, and he goes, "I'm so glad to be back in elementary school." And it was just like this full circle that, he had come. And I remember he jumped into it with his passion. He always put in extra effort to see the students as learners beyond the classroom. One of his first year with me, actually, I was like, all right, he's here, let's see. We were trying to organize something for the St. Patty's Day Parade. We wanted to get something together with the Tesla Science Center. They were just starting it. And I was like, perfect, Mr. Gansey, he's got a truck. Paul, do you mind carrying the big Tesla sign that we made and everything like that with the tower on it and everything in the back of your truck, and have the kids march and everything? And he was all over. He said, absolutely. He drove his truck, with the big Tesla thing, and the kids marched with him. And it was a wonderful way to build a sense of community. So thank you, Paul, if you're listening. I know he's actually traveling. He said he would love to be here, but he was at a ceremony for one of his family members. So he eagerly volunteered, creating a special memory for many people during that time. In addition to the classroom, Paul could be counted on, and still can, to be at many sporting events for his current and former students. Some of his kids were in the states and everything. He was like, hey, can I leave a little early? I want to get there. I want to see them, whatever. We always made it work because I knew his heart was in the right place. And he cheered them on, made lifelong connections with families. Once, we had the outdoor learning center constructed. It was almost like we constructed it for Mr. Gansey. His class, we would keep track, had the greatest usage of all by far, often taking his students outside for them to enjoy a lesson or two in a unique setting. His sense of humor, genuine nature, and focus on the entire child will be missed at Wading River School. I wish him much joy as he starts this next chapter in his life. Well, he'll likely be found exploring nature, and just look for him in the local woods, coaching and encouraging others, and building connections that will help spark joy for both himself and others. Enjoy, Paul. You're going to be missed right over here, and I think you're going to miss us a great deal as well. Give him a round of applause. Since you called me back up, just a small little note, just to everyone here in the auditorium. I'm seeing the faces. I'm not talking individuals as per se, but there is so much knowledge here. You have saved us so many times in this district, the people here. I'm going to miss everybody here. You've made such a difference in my life and in the lives of our students. So it's a great loss to our district seeing these people. As much as I wish them happiness on the next step, I'm going to miss you all a great deal. Thanks.
Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Galese, our high school principal, to speak about Miss Lucy Zangri.
Over you, Lucy. Thank you very much. Okay, Lucy, over the last 31 years, countless teachers, staff, administrators, and of course students have come and gone through the doors of Shoreham-Wading River High School. And one of the few constants, our North Star, if you will, has been Lucy Eschbach. Lucy was hired as a guidance counselor in September of 1994, and after a very short stint at Prodell Middle School, we were lucky enough to have her become a part of the high school, as much a part of the high school as the brick and mortars themselves. Anyone who has spent more than 30 seconds with Lucy knows the following fundamental truths about her character. She loves kids, both her students and her own 3 wonderful children, with a fierce devotion that radiates from every conversation, every interaction, and every decision she makes. Lucy has never seen a distinction between caring for her own family and for caring for the thousands of students who have walked through her office door seeking guidance, support, or simply someone who would listen without judgment. Maybe a little bit of judgment. She loves her colleagues, many of whom she considers family, and has been the glue that has held countless teams together through transitions, challenges, celebrations, and many celebrations. Lucy has been a mentor to new counselors, a sounding board for veteran teachers, and a source of institutional wisdom that has guided decision-making at every level of our school community. Speaking of family, many have often questioned whether Lucy owns a time machine, because it seems absolutely impossible how she has been able to dedicate so much time and energy to her demanding job while simultaneously raising her amazing family at her home. Her ability to balance the needs of her profession with the needs of her own children has been nothing short of miraculous, and she has done it all with grace, humor, and an unwavering commitment to excellence in both areas. Another thing about Miss Lucy is she is a fierce advocate for her students and her colleagues, and is never afraid to share her opinion with administration or anyone else for that matter. Lucy's advocacy has always come from a place of genuine care and deep professional expertise. When Lucy speaks up, we all listen, because we know her voice represents not just her own perspective, but the collective needs of the students and staff she serves so passionately. Huge part of Lucy's heart has always been in athletics, and her fingerprints can be found all over our women's field hockey program. Her return to coaching these last few seasons has been nothing short of amazing, bringing her full circle in her service to our school community. Watching Lucy on the field, sharing her knowledge and passion with young athletes reminded us all why she chose education as her calling. Her ability to inspire, motivate, and develop young people extends far beyond the guidance office. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, Lucy can always be counted upon in good times and in bad to support SWR students and colleagues in whatever way she can. Whether it's staying late to help a senior with their college applications, advocating for a struggling student who needs additional support, or simply being present during a crisis, Lucy has been our constant, our reassuring presence that reminds us all why we chose to work in education. Using a conservative, very conservative estimate of 175 students per year for 31 years, Lucy, at a minimum, positively impacted well over 5,000 lives. But let's be honest, that number probably doesn't capture the full scope of her influence. Having been here long enough to know and work with multiple generations of the same family, Lucy has become our walking and talking version of Ancestry.com. Have a question about a student or a family? Go see Lucy. She was able to bring all the pieces together to support administration and ultimately make the best decisions for children. Her institutional memory has been invaluable in helping us understand not just who our students are today, but where they came from and what they need to be successful. In addition to her seemingly limitless knowledge of family trees and student histories, Lucy also knows nearly everything about ACTs, SATs, PSATs, NCAA clearinghouse rules, the Common App, the FAFSA, and enrollment patterns at nearly every school from coast to coast, and I'm sure even a few beyond our borders. She has been our one-person college admissions encyclopedia, staying current with an ever-changing landscape of requirements, deadlines, and opportunities. Lucy's expertise has opened doors for countless students who might never have known those opportunities existed. But Lucy's impact goes beyond her professional knowledge. She has been a source of comfort for anxious students facing uncertain futures, a voice of reason for parents navigating the complex world of college admissions, and a trusted advisor for colleagues seeking guidance on everything from scheduling to crisis intervention. Her office has been a sanctuary where students could share their deepest concerns, their biggest dreams, and their most challenging moments, knowing they would be met with understanding, practical advice, and unwavering support. To say that Lucy and all the stored knowledge, wisdom, and institutional memory in her remarkable brain will be sorely missed is a huge understatement. I personally will always miss her steadfast support and her regular check-ins to make sure I'm doing okay. Even when she had 100 other pressing matters demanding her attention, Lucy has been the kind of colleague who makes everyone around her better simply by being who she is. At the end of the day, Lucy was beyond just a great counselor, coach, and educator. Lucy is and will always be a wonderful human being whose impact on this school community will be felt for generations to come. The students she has guided, the colleagues she has mentored, and the family she has supported will carry forward with lessons she has taught them about compassion, about advocacy, and about service to others. Lucy, as you embark on this well-deserved next chapter, we wish you nothing but good health, much happiness, and an ever-improving pickleball game. Thank you for 31 years of dedicated service, unwavering advocacy, and genuine care for every member of our school community. Shoreham-Wading River will never be quite the same without you, but it will be forever better because of you. Congratulations.
Mr. Puglisi, can I just add a personal testament to Ms. Eschbach, my guidance counselor when I was here at Shoreham-Wading River? Your impact has been incredible for everybody that we still see at Hither Hills is like, Ms. Eschbach. So enabling us to be successful in whatever path that we chose, coming into your office and feeling supported and comfortable, coming to you with problems or solutions. You always had them ready for us. So thank you from the class of 2002 and beyond.
Yeah, there you go.
Now I would like to speak about Denise Cohart.
Denise, get over here, please. Come here. Listen, I told you I was going to be nice, and I will be nice. Friday maybe a little bit, but even, you know, I love you. All right. A true fixture throughout the Shoreham-Wading River community, Denise Cohart began her remarkable tenure in the fall of 2000, and during the last 25 years, Denise had made an indelible mark on all whom she has come in contact with. Her quarter century of service represents not just longevity, but a sustained commitment to excellence and caring that has touched every corner of our school community. Denise has been involved in so many diverse aspects of the SWR community that for someone who doesn't know her personally, it might be genuinely difficult to pinpoint where she has made the greatest impact. This speaks to the breadth of her contributions, her willingness to step in and step up wherever she is needed, regardless of whether or not it fell within her official job description. Denise is a beloved fixture at our athletic contests, working as a dedicated scorekeeper in wrestling, volleyball, and basketball, just to name a few of the sports where her expertise and reliability have been invaluable. But her contribution goes far beyond simply keeping accurate records. While at these events and in the halls before and after, Denise has proven to be one of our athletes' biggest cheerleaders and most enthusiastic supporters. Her presence at games provided a source of comfort and encouragement for numerous athletes, and her genuine celebration of their achievements, whether it was a personal best, a team victory, or simply good sportsmanship, helped create the positive athletic culture that defines our programs. Denise has also dedicated countless hours to our theater program, working tirelessly behind the scenes as our costume expert and creative problem solver. Mrs. Cohart often reminds me, with a mixture of pride and good-natured exasperation, that she's one of the only few people left who still knows how to sew. So she was absolutely perfect for the job. As if her contributions to athletics and the theater program were not enough, Denise has also maintained her CDL license, enabling her to transport our students to numerous events both near and not so far away. I know you don't like to drive too far away. This practical skill became another way for Denise to extend her care and support to students, ensuring they could safely participate in activities and experiences that enriched their education. However, as I mentioned earlier, for those not intimately familiar with Denise and her incredible range of contributions, the impressive list above may seem more than enough of an accomplishment to call it a distinguished career, but that is not the case. Denise's true passion, her greatest source of professional fulfillment, has been working with and supporting some of our neediest students, making sure she's doing everything in her power so they can be as successful as possible in all aspects of their lives. This work has required not just professional skill, but enormous heart, patience, and an unwavering belief in the potential of every student she serves. Denise has been a steadfast member of our RISE program, serving as a teaching assistant, but it goes far beyond that. Her institutional knowledge, combined with her deep understanding of the unique needs of students with disabilities, has made her an essential member of the RISE team. What makes Denise truly exceptional is how she has found a way to combine her many diverse passions and skills, focusing them all on supporting the students in the RISE program in creative and meaningful ways. On any given day, she can be seen working patiently with a student at a community job site, helping them develop practical skills and confidence they need for future employment. Whether she's driving the bus to Costco for a practical shopping experience that teaches budgeting and decision-making skills, or carefully facilitating interactions between RISE students and typical peers, Denise approaches each opportunity with creativity, sensitivity, and a deep understanding of what each individual student needs to grow and to thrive. Denise could certainly be considered a force of nature, as has been proven time and time again, that once she puts her mind to something, 99% of the time, if not better, she makes it happen through sheer determination, creative problem solving, and a refusal to accept no as a final answer. This fierce advocacy and relentless pursuit of what's best for students has supported generations of young people and their families, often during some of their most challenging and vulnerable moments. Denise has never been afraid to speak up when she saw a need that wasn't being met or an opportunity to improve services for the students that she serves. Her voice has been instrumental in securing resources, developing new programs, and ensuring that the needs of all students are considered in district planning and in decision making. We greatly appreciate all of her extraordinary efforts, her boundless energy, and her unwavering commitment to making our school community a place where every student can succeed and thrive. Denise's legacy is written in the achievements of the students she has supported, the programs she has helped to build, and the culture of caring and inclusion she has fostered throughout our district. As she begins this well-deserved new chapter, we wish you, Denise, nothing but blue skies, cold drinks, relaxation, and years of happiness with her wonderful family and friends. Thank you, Denise, for 25 years of selfless service, tireless advocacy, and a genuine love for every student who has been fortunate enough to know you. Congratulations.
And next we have Michelle Kavanaugh.
All right, Michelle, you're next. I apologize that I'm speaking a lot tonight, but we've got some wonderful people that we need to recognize. Don't stop. Come on. It has been my distinct privilege to work with so many wonderful people over my time here at Shoreham-Wading River. And one such person, Michelle Kavanaugh, has worked with me on so many diverse projects over the years that it's genuinely hard to truly identify in a short period of time all the countless ways in which Michelle has impacted Shoreham-Wading River High School and the broader school community. Michelle, like a versatile Swiss Army knife, always seems to be the perfect answer when anyone ever asks the question, who do we have that can fill in the blank? Whether it's organizing a complex event, solving an unexpected problem, managing a detailed project, or simply stepping in when something needs to get done, the answer is inevitably and frequently Michelle. Her ability to adapt to whatever challenge is presented, combined with her unwavering reliability and positive attitude, most of the time, has made her absolutely indispensable to our school's daily operations. For the last half dozen years or so, right? Michelle has started each and every school day by tracking one of the most challenging and crucial tasks in education, arranging for substitute coverage. And I'm serious about this. This is a beast. This is a remarkably thankless job that requires patience, which you sometimes have, persistence, which you always have, and exceptional organizational skills. On any given day, this complex puzzle can take the better part of the morning to complete, as Michelle works tirelessly to ensure that every classroom has proper coverage and that student learning continues uninterrupted despite some staff absences. What makes Michelle's approach to substitute coordination so exceptional is her deep understanding of both our staff and our students. She doesn't just fill empty slots. She carefully considers which substitutes would be best fit for specific teachers, subjects, and classroom dynamics. Her attention to these details has ensured that our students receive quality instruction even when their regular teachers are unavailable, maintaining the continuity of learning that is so essential to academic success. After completing this demanding morning task, Michelle's day can move in any number of directions, depending on the time of the year and the immediate needs of our school community. Her flexibility and willingness to pivot between different responsibilities has been a cornerstone of our school's ability to function smoothly through all seasons and circumstances. At the start and end of every school year, Michelle has taken on the massive logistical undertaking of assisting in the distribution of textbooks and calculators, meticulously making sure that every single student has the supplies they need to be successful in their academic pursuits. This process involves tracking all the books and making sure that they're assigned properly, managing returns, and maintaining accurate records, all while working within tight time frames and managing the inevitable complications that arise, and having to deal with me about it as well. Her organizational skills and attention to detail during these critical periods have ensured that students could begin each year ready to learn and end each year with all materials properly accounted for. Michelle's systematic approach to this complex process has streamlined what otherwise could be a very chaotic and frustrating experience for both students and for staff. Once the school year is underway, Michelle then dons yet another hat, taking on the coordination of the Innovative Nexus program. This highly unique program, which has provided SWR high school students with meaningful opportunities to volunteer during the school day, represents a significant undertaking in and of itself, requiring extensive planning, coordination, and ongoing management. The Nexus program has also led to valuable opportunities for high school students to serve as role models and mentors for younger students within our own district, creating connections across grade levels and fostering a sense of community service that extends well beyond graduation. Michelle's vision and coordination have helped countless students discover their passion for service while developing valuable life skills and professional experience. Yet another hat, as the junior and senior class advisor for the past few years, Michelle has played a pivotal and often behind-the-scenes role in the organization of both the junior and senior proms, events that represent some of the most cherished moments for the high school experience. Anyone who has ever been involved in prom planning knows that it is no small feat, even if it were someone's sole responsibility during that time of the year. In addition to prom planning and the senior class advisor, Michelle has also worked closely with building administration to organize our beloved senior days, creating opportunities for graduating class to celebrate their achievements and create lasting memories together. Her creativity in planning activities and her ability to balance fun with appropriate supervision has made these events highlights of the senior year experience. Michelle also runs multiple fundraising events each year to help defray the costs from some of our events for our students. Her ability to coordinate complex events, manage volunteers, and ensure successful outcomes has not only raised important funds for class activities, but has also brought the school community together in support of our students. For all the reasons listed above and so many countless others that time doesn't permit me to mention, Michelle is going to be dearly missed by students, families, and colleagues alike. Her contributions have touched every aspect of our school community, and her legacy will continue to benefit our students for years to come. However, she has certainly earned the opportunity to enjoy her well-deserved retirement, spending way more quality time with her beloved children and grandchildren, creating new memories, and enjoying the fruits of her many years of dedicated service to others. Michelle, we wish you nothing but the very best in this exciting new chapter of your life. We hope you have a long, healthy, and wonderfully fulfilling retirement. Thank you for everything you have given to our school community. Thank you.
Next we have Datsy Bubaris.
Come on, Dots. Whew. All right. This is tough. No, it's not the talking that's tough. It's the emotions that are going with it. In the summer of 1997, Datsy Bubaris began her remarkable career in the Shoreham-Wading River School District, embarking on what would become nearly 3 decades of dedicated service to our community. At one time or another, Datsy served as a security guard in all of our buildings, becoming a familiar and trusted presence throughout our entire district. Her breadth of experience across our campuses gave her a unique perspective on the needs of students at every level and helped her develop the comprehensive understanding of school safety that would define her career. I had the good fortune of meeting Datsy in August of 2017 when I began my tenure as the principal here at the high school, and I immediately recognized that she was someone special. During the last 8 years, Datsy has split her time between the high school and Prodell Middle School, bringing her expertise and caring presence to both communities. Regardless of the building or the challenges of any given day, Datsy could always be counted upon to put the safety and security of the students of our community first in all that she did. Her unwavering commitment to students and their welfare was evident in every interaction, every decision, and every moment of her service. I am grateful that Dotsie was able to finish the last years of her career at the high school because she has played such an important and integral role within our safety and security team. Her experience, wisdom, and deep understanding of what it takes to create a safe learning environment made her an invaluable member of our staff. Dotsie understood that school security is about so much more than monitoring hallways. It's about creating an atmosphere where students feel protected, where they feel valued, and they are ready to learn. Each morning, Dotsie could be found at her post, welcoming every single student into the building by name and providing them either with a warm smile that could brighten their entire day or a gentle but firm reminder to get to school on time. Her ability to remember hundreds of names and to make each student feel individually recognized was truly remarkable. Whether she was delivering a message through tough love when a student needed guidance or offering a kind word when someone was having a difficult day, Dotsie cared deeply about all of her and our students. She had an innate ability to read situations and respond with exactly what each student needed in that moment. Dotsie's impact extended far beyond her official duties. She became a trusted confidant for students who needed someone to listen, a source of comfort for those facing challenges, and a steady presence that helped countless young people navigate the complex world of being an adolescent. Her genuine care for student well-being meant that she often went above and beyond her job description, checking in on students when she was concerned about them and following up to make sure they had the support that they needed. Working in a high school, your safety and security team serves as the eyes and the ears of administration, and Dotsie excelled in this critical role. She had an exceptional ability to observe, assess, and communicate important information that helped us maintain a safe and positive school environment. Dotsie could always be counted upon to provide us with crucial information even when we didn't realize we needed it. Her situational awareness and her deep knowledge of our student body made her an indispensable resource for preventing problems before they escalated and for ensuring that no students slipped through the cracks. Much like many of her fellow retirees, Dotsie has never been afraid to speak her mind in support of her role and in the district, and for the staff and students she looked out for on a daily basis. Her advocacy always came from a place of genuine concern and professionalism. When Dotsie spoke up, we listened because we knew her perspective was informed by years of experience and a deep commitment to doing what was best for our school and our community. Her willingness to be a strong voice for what she believed in made our entire district stronger. Dotsie's dedication to professional growth and her commitment to staying current with best practices in school safety were evident throughout her career. She understood that the landscape of school security was constantly evolving, and she made sure her skills and her knowledge evolved along with it. Her professionalism and collaboration with her colleagues made her a valued partner, not just within our security team, but across all aspects of school operations. The relationship Dotsie built with students, staff, and families over her 28-year career are a testament to her character and her genuine care for others. She has been a source of stability and support through countless changes in our district, always maintaining her focus on what matters most, the safety and the well-being of our students. I'm going to miss you tremendously, and I know the staff and students will as well. Her presence at the high school has been a source of comfort and security for all of us, but 28 years is an amazing career. And we are so incredibly grateful for you, Dotsie, that you chose to spend those years with us, making our schools safer and our students' lives better each and every day. As you begin this new chapter of your life, we wish you much happiness, wonderful adventures with your wonderful family, and most importantly, good health in your many, many years to come. You have earned this time to enjoy the fruits of your dedicated service, and we hope it brings you all the joy and relaxation you deserve. Congratulations on a career well lived, and thank you again for everything you have given to our school community. Your legacy of care, dedication, and service will continue to inspire us long after your retirement. Congratulations.
quick ones.
Got it.
For people that unfortunately were not able to be here this evening, we have Ms. Sharon Kumar, French teacher, and then we have Nancy Lieber.
Sure. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Speaking about Madame Comor, in our world language department, specifically in French, 18 years becoming synonymous with our excellence in language instruction. When speaking with Sharon's students at the end of, or actually the middle of this past year when she retired, her students pointed out quite adeptly that some of the most important lessons taught by Madame Comor had little to do with conjugating verbs or making tenses agree. While she certainly excelled at teaching the technical aspects of language learning, her true gift lay in something far more profound and lasting. Her students indicated that Ms. Comor infused a genuine love of learning into all that she did, creating an atmosphere where curiosity flourished and mistakes were viewed as stepping stones rather than setbacks. And this was universal. This was mentioned by all of her students. Sharon had the unique opportunity to work with many students all the way from the 6th grade up through senior year. And she made sure that time was valuable to all. We know that Sharon has already gotten back into the classroom in a couple districts that are closer to her home, where she still hasn't really given up the love of the classroom and that interaction with students. So we do wish her all the best. We would love for her to be able to come back to Shoreham-Wading River to substitute if that ever works for her, and we wish her nothing but the best in her future. Thank you. Nancy Lieber also retired mid-year last year, and that was after over 17 years of service to the community. Nancy consistently demonstrated what it truly means to be an educator who puts the needs of her students first and foremost in all that she did. She started her career at Miller Avenue. She spent about a decade there and the remaining time up here at the high school. In the high school, Nancy's primary responsibility was in the testing center, where her and her partner in crime, Lisa Shupp, really took it upon themselves to redesign that program to make sure that the needs of all the students that came and went out of that room were met, not only to the letter of the law, but with a kind hand, a warm smile, and making sure once again that all of her students got their accommodations, but were in an environment where they felt comfortable with their learning. So Nancy, we know you're down in Florida right now. You were just back up here recently. Nancy has taken the time, is on our sub list, and occasionally is back here in the building. So we appreciate that, and we wish you nothing but good health and happiness in your retirement. Congratulations.
And now it's my pleasure to invite Mr. Glenn Arcuri, Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations, to speak about Mr. David Carlson.
Well, Dave, I assure you, mine is short. Nothing like the others. It's past your bedtime. Figured that. It is my pleasure to take a moment to recognize Mr. David Carlson, who has worked for the district for the past 21 years. David started as an interim business official here after retiring with a distinguished career in a neighboring district. He came to Shoreham when Shoreham was without a dollar. He started the process to rebuild the entire business office, and after supporting 9 different business officials within 5 years, he had slid into the role of district purchasing agent. So when I joined Shoreham, I had the privilege of being mentored, abused, cared for, supported by a true veteran, also a district resident, also a person that put his 4 children through the district. 4 or 3? 3. It was close. Could have been 4. could have been 4. But it is important to know, while most of Dave's work takes place behind the scenes, he has been absolutely vital to the day-to-day operations and long-term success of our school district here. Purchasing in a school isn't just about buying supplies. It's about making people's lives difficult when they're in the process of trying to buy those supplies in order to ensure that each dollar spent is exactly the way the dollar is supposed to be spent. And that is according to the purchasing agent. Just ask him. He will tell you how it should be spent. However, it is critical to know he never, ever said no to helping someone. He always took the time to ensure that you could trust he's going to do the right thing by the community, because it is the community's money. It's not the superintendent's money, it's not my money, it's not the board's money, it's the community's money. Throughout Dave's tenure, he has overseen countless bids, RFPs, purchasing decisions, and with each of those transactions, he ensured that our standards were high, our compliance was sound, and our finances were responsibly managed. Dave has been a trusted colleague and problem solver. New to the school business world, when I joined here July of 2010, you would not believe this, but Dave was actually kind to me. He was caring, he was compassionate. He would take the time to support me, close the door and go, "You don't want to do that. You don't understand. Let me tell you why." And then after you got your speech, put it all together, he made it very simple. The answer is no, you cannot do that. But he had to give you his speech first. Had nothing to do with the actual problem, but the answer was just no. And 99% of the time, he was 100% right, because in that time together, he was instilling wisdom to a private sector person who was transitioning into a school district that was near and dear to his heart. He did not want it damaged. He wanted the finances accounted for properly because it mattered that much to him as the district's purchasing agent. As Dave begins his well-earned retirement from Shoreham, I cannot thank him enough for his service, his support, his commitment to the Shoreham-Wading River family, and I wish him and his wife all the best, and hopefully this is his final retirement from the school district sector. I can't thank you enough.
Before I leave, I've been a resident for over 50 years, and you've educated all 3 of my children. And I just want to indulge myself with you for just one thing. 23 years ago, I retired. And thank you, Glenn, for everything you said. It's all true. So, 23 years ago, I retired from Riverhead. Birchwood, big party, hundreds of people. I really enjoyed it. I thanked everybody. So tonight I'm going to thank all of you, everybody I've worked with over the years. But that night, I forgot to thank one person. Did anybody guess who that was?
Your wife.
My wife. So tonight, I'm thanking my wife for living with me and married for 56 years last Sunday. Thank you.
And final, we have Mr. Thomas Ward.
There you go.
Okay. It is my pleasure to take a moment to recognize Mr. Tom Ward, a proud graduate of Shoreham and a dedicated member of the district's maintenance department for the past 33 years, including the last 12 years as head maintenance mechanic. Typically, I don't ever read from a script. I'm not a script person. But between Mr. Carlson, Mr. Award, I am choked up tonight. I have to follow a guide because tonight's a heavy night. The school district's losing 2 legends, and I'm doing my best to not want to go with them. That's the truth. Much of the work that Tom has done over the years, just like Dave, has taken place behind the scenes, often before or after school hours. Throughout his 33-year career with the district, Tom has had his hand in nearly every aspect of our facilities, of our vehicles, of our sound system, of our lights, of our desks, of our walls. He has moved walls for one superintendent, moved walls for the next superintendent, moved walls for the next principal, moved walls for the next superintendent. So he has definitely moved a lot of walls over the past 33 years. His ability to maintain and repair critical infrastructure, even during difficult financial periods, speaks to his ingenuity and his resourcefulness, qualities that define his approach to every challenge. No task has ever been too big for Tom and his team. I continue to say it's never just been about Tom. Tom never makes it about Tom. Tom makes it about his team and what the students need. When it comes to supporting the needs of the district, Tom consistently ensures the job gets done. Whether that means working weekends, holidays, or overnight, his dedication and commitment is always unwavering. In my own 15 years with the district, I have personally relied on Tom's deep knowledge countless times. I go back to my interview here. Tom was the union president at that time. And part of the interview questions, Tom was the typical Tom. He said very little, but made himself very, very clear. So within my first week here in Shoreham, I did not like my desk location. So I decided to bring a tool or 2 in, and I decided to rearrange my office. And the union president decides to come in, sit down and say, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm moving my desk." "Well, you can't do that." "I don't understand. Why can't I do that?" And he's sitting there with his arms crossed. "That's union." I said, "Well, we're just going to have to get over it. It's really, I'm doing okay here. I don't need your help." "Can't have your own tools." "What do you mean I can't have my own tools?" "Could you at least sit down?" "No." "But we have a problem because I'm going to do my desk. It's really not, this is not going to change." "Is that so?" Turns around and walks out of the office. Just disappears. And who comes storming in? The superintendent, Dr. Harriet Coppell. "What are you doing?" "You can't piss the union president off." I go, "What's he doing inside my office? I didn't invite him." "You got to do that when he's not around." It's not going to work for Glenn. I go, I seek Tom, had to go find Tom. Didn't know the district from Adam, just keep walking around in circles your first couple of years here. When I finally find him, I apologized, and I said, "You're going to have to make an exception. I really am going to rearrange my office a lot." "Tom, did I rearrange my office often? Did I need your help?" In the end, I did concede. The union does have more power than I do. Just ask them and they will deliver for you. But it was a tough year there. During various capital construction projects, Tom has been my first call for input. There is truly no one who knows our facilities better. Not the district's architect, not the number of facilities directors that have been here 33 years and 12 years as a student. That's a long time to be in the same walls.
Sure is.
There is truly no one who knows our facilities better, and he has always delivered time and time again. Tom possesses an institutional knowledge that simply cannot be replaced. His experience, commitment, and quiet leadership will be deeply missed, not just by the district, but by me personally. You have been my go-to person for 15 years, Tom, and you have never let me or the district down. For that, I am sincerely grateful. We wish you all the best in your well-earned retirement. It's now time to enjoy your daughters, no longer worry about receiving a call from me at a crazy hour, or an email in some crazy hour, or a text from me with yet another outlandish request and an unrealistic deadline that maybe Mr. Poole has joined into the equation to help me deliver. It's never just me now. However, after a brief sigh that we also know is the you always manage to complete the task. Thank you, Tom, for your extraordinary service. You will be tremendously missed.
Okay, and while we did not have anybody directly retiring from the middle school, I thank Mr. Van and Ms. Biscardi for coming to celebrate with the rest of the retirees, as well as Mr. Rosini. Thank you. And congratulations to all of our retirees.
So I just wanted to add some comments after listening to those amazing stories. It's quite evident that when we were listening, that each of our retirees are very accomplished people, and what amazing people you really are. Our class of 2025 retirees, I wrote down some attributes that seemed like in each of the write-ups it shared, that each of you, beside the long tenure with the school district and the community, your commitment, your caring, your character, your advocacy, and your dedication was amazing to hear and learn more about. So thank you to each of our principals tonight and Mr. Akiri for sharing these stories with us. And again, I wish you all the best in your futures, and thank you again for what you've done for the district and our community. Round of applause, please. Now, are we taking what are we doing now, Mr. Paul? Are we going to take a break for them or take a picture or anything like that?
Well, I just wanted, I feel like we need to hire 22 people to replace the 11.
Yeah, true. No kidding. That's a good point.
Not sure,
Well
I'm
said.
not sure we're gonna.
That's not
fill
coming
those.
up tonight, is it,
That
Mr.
is not
Paul?
coming up,
Okay. Just
tonight,
checking.
But, we do have probably a 90-minute food service presentation, so now might be a
Good time to take a moment. Yeah, do you want to take a moment? That's what's going to. You want to take a break for a second?
9?
Are we doing pictures? I don't know what we're doing.
Take a picture, yes.
That's what I
There
thought.
you
All
go.
right, we're going to take a moment and take some pictures with our retirees. Thank you. So we're going to bring our meeting back to order. I'm going to ask Mr. Arcuri, next up is under our reports and reviews. We're going to be reviewing our food service program. And Glenn, I'll turn it over to you, please. Nope, moving forward. We're going to, yep, thanks, Glenn.
Oh, for sure. That's what I
Appreciate that. Glenn, I didn't know if you wanted to introduce, I didn't know who was here from. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Perfect.
There we go.
Good evening. Tonight, I am here with Ms. Bino, Food Service Director. In the audience, we also have a dedicated part-time food service worker, Kathy Freelander. And then we also have our cook manager, Christine Krichenko. They are here in case there's any questions, support that we feel that we're not able to answer.
Wonderful, thank you. Welcome.
Tonight, the purpose of our presentation is to discuss the opportunities available to us if the district were to join the National School Lunch Program.
Yep.
This is a discussion that we've had for a number of years,
Yep.
whether or not the district would benefit from joining the National School Lunch Program and what the impact to our program would be. To date, the decision has always been continue as a self-operating program. Do not join the National School Lunch Program, because the National School Lunch Program doesn't really serve Shoreham-Wading River due to our low free and reduced population count. The reason why the question of joining the National School Lunch Program has taken on a different meaning for the upcoming 25-26 school year, because included in the New York State budget is the opportunity that, according to the governor, universal meals supported by New York State, they will cover the cost, whether you're a free student, a reduced student, or a paid student, for the cost of that meal. And in order to participate in the New York State Universal Free Meals Program, you must be part of the National School Lunch Program. So tonight's presentation is the step one in the equation of, if we want to consider universal meals for all, which is something the governor has included in her 25-26 budget, the district must make a decision whether or not we want to join the National School Lunch Program.
Okay.
Good evening, Board of Education. Good evening, Mr. Poole. I'm Sarah Polino, the Food Service Director of Shoreham-Wading River. Thank you, Mr. Arcuri. So the first slide explains what the National School Lunch Program is. The National School Lunch Program is a federally funded meal program for schools, nonprofit private schools, and child care centers. The administration of the National School Lunch Program is overseen by the Food and Nutrition Services, also called the FNS, with the United States Department of Agriculture, which is the USDA. Beneath the federal organizations, several state agencies manage the operations in conjunction with school food authorities, which is the SFA, which would be us. In our case, that would be the New York State Child Nutrition. In order to participate, school lunches must meet certain federal nutrition guidelines for their meals, increasing the availability of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, fat-free and low-fat fluid milk, and reduced sodium and saturated fat meal items. They must also base menus off of strict calorie restrictions. Schools that follow the meal pattern requirements set by the National School Lunch Program are reimbursed based on complete meals served by category, free, reduced, and paid. A school can opt out of the National School Lunch Program after giving notice to New York State at least 2 weeks before a 60-day notice is given to parents and guardians. Universal free meals. The 25-26 executive budget amended New York State education law by adding universal free meals. Beginning in school year 25-26, New York State school food authorities participating in the National School Lunch Program and/or breakfast programs are required to provide reimbursable school meals at no cost to all students, regardless of their free, reduced, or paid status. The state will reimburse SFAs up to the combined state and federal reimbursement rate for a free meal for each federally reimbursed, reduced price, and paid meal claimed. For the district to participate in universal free meals, the district must be part of the National School Lunch Program. It is important to note that the state funding is for 25-26 only. There's no certainty that the state will have funding in future years. Schools and districts not currently enrolled in the National School Lunch Program must apply to New York State Education Department, Office of Child Nutrition by July 31st, 2025, to participate in the 25-26 school year to provide free meals.
Okay.
Sure.
So in the past 2 weeks, Sarah and the district treasurer, Rachel, have been preparing all of the necessary information needed to submit the application.
Okay.
The purpose is to, if there's guidance given this evening to submit the application, we want to submit it sooner rather than later. Because there's districts across the state that are not part of the program. We want to get into that queue for approval sooner rather than later, so that if it is something the district wants to do, Sarah, Rachel have definitely made the district ready by having a 30-page application and 50 tabs on the bottom of the Excel spreadsheet, data upon more data, ready to hit the submit button within a day or two.
Okay.
In order to participate in the Universal Free Meals Program, the district would be required to become a school food authority, SFA. New York State requires school food authorities to maximize federal reimbursement by operating in the community eligibility provision, or if eligible, or as a provision 2 school. In order to be in the CEP program, 25% of the student body must meet income guidelines to be eligible for free or reduced lunch. As our district does not meet the CEP requirements, in order to offer free universal meals, we would become a Provision 2 school. Provision 2 operates on a 4-year cycle. In year 1, which is considered the base year, the district would still need to collect free and reduced priced meal applications to determine each student's meal eligibility. We would do this by collecting applications, doing direct certifications or other qualifying criteria, and complete required verification procedures. Meals must be counted at the point of service and claimed monthly by eligibility category. During years 2, 3, and 4 of the cycle, the district makes no new eligibility determinations and continues to serve all student meals at the National School Lunch Program reimbursement level. This would continue to be the case through year 4 as long as the district operates under the provision. If the district elects to remain in the program beyond year 4, the cycle would begin again. So basically, after the first year, we would no longer have to collect the applications from students. The school counts only the total number of reimbursable meals served each day instead of counting meals by type as done in the base year. That would be after the first year. So this is a chart that shows the difference between a community eligibility provision school and the community eligibility provision and the Provision 2 school. The community eligibility provision shows that over 25% of the student population is free. Provision 2 is all students, and so on and so forth.
So none of our districts qualify for a CEP school. A CEP school means more than 25% of the building population meets the eligibility requirements for free and reduced meals. So at our highest level, which is hard to determine at times because there's a Medicaid chart, there is various government agencies that have labeled different families what they qualify for. We have never validated that because there has never been a purpose. But if we take all the students' names for that building, and if they truly qualify, Our highest number is 18%. So the likelihood of us ever becoming a CEP school in the near future is very, very low.
Understood. So, Mr. Curie, so a Provision 2 school, though, based on the chart, would it be correct to say that in year one, we would require an application? How do we verify then, going back to that, just I'm trying to figure out how do you know? I didn't understand the CEP provision versus the Provision 2. Is it an application process that the students' families complete?
Yes. So a provision school, the reason why we would be considered Provision 2 is because as we know right now, we do not have 25% of our student population that is free or reduced. After we collect applications, if at some point we would hit that threshold, we would be able to apply to be a CEP school.
Understood.
But as we know right now, because we have done it in the past, we wouldn't, as of right now, we wouldn't qualify.
Understood. So for this year, if we chose to move ahead as a Provision 2, we would take applications from students in each building. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Any family that feels they would qualify for free or reduced meals, yes.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And that's basically because we need to have a base point
Yes,
so that for future years, we know where we would stand percentage-wise.
makes sense. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. This is a chart that shows the meal pattern requirements in the National School Lunch Program. On the left, you see the breakfast meal pattern. On the right, you see the lunch meal pattern. The different meal patterns are K through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12, and K through 8. It just basically is going over what the different requirements are for all of the standards that the National School Lunch Program require in order to meet the meal patterns. The next slide goes a little bit more into depth.
So can I ask a question? So beyond the scope of the requirements, the meal patterns, I know that we've talked about Miller Avenue not having a warming kitchen or something along those lines. Does that prohibit us from participating in this program?
It does not.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So the lunch component requirements, there's 5 components that must be offered daily. Those consist of fruit, vegetables, grains, meat alternate, and fluid milk. Weekly minimums of vegetable subgroups also must be offered. Those consist of red, orange vegetables. Some of the examples are sweet potatoes, carrots, and tomatoes. An other category, which consists of celery, cucumbers, green beans, for example. A starchy vegetable category, which would be potatoes, corns, and green peas. A beans, peas, and lentils category, which would be garbanzo beans, black beans, pinto beans. And a dark green category, which would consist of broccoli, spinach, and romaine lettuce, just to name a few. This is the chart that the National School Lunch Program uses in order to categorize all of the vegetable subgroups. And something from each of these groups has to be menued each week in minimums.
Do you know specifically what that looks like, the minimums for each of the groups?
I'm sorry?
Each week, you said it's required each week. What is the specific minimums for each of the groups each week?
3/4 of a cup
Okay. From each of the colors here.
from each category
Okay. Per week.
per week. So I could menu something from the dark green on Monday, something from the red orange on Tuesday, something from the other on Wednesday, something from starchy, so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
As long as I have something from each category. So currently, under the National School Lunch Program, in the dark green category, that's the list, we currently serve broccoli and romaine lettuce in that category. In the red orange, we currently serve carrots and tomatoes. In the other category, we currently serve celery, cucumbers, green beans, iceberg lettuce, and pickles. In the starchy category, we currently serve corn and potatoes. And in the beans, peas, and legumes, we do not serve anything from that category currently, so we would have to start menuing items from that category in order to be compliant. Students must take 3 of the 5 components, one of which must be a fruit or a vegetable in order to make the meal claim as a reimbursable meal and free to the student. If the student chooses not to take the minimum required components, the meal will be charged as an a la carte price and the school will not receive reimbursement for that meal. To adhere to the meal pattern requirements, we would need to change bread and grain items to whole grain, including breaded chicken items, sandwich rolls, wraps and tortillas, bagels, our pizza crust, and brunch for lunch items. Those are just a few of the items. Because students could be forced to take items they may not want in order to receive the meal for free, increased food waste may become an issue. Items in all vegetable subgroups must be offered in the minimum requirements to all students regardless of what meal item they choose, which could also increase waste. Some of the pros of the National School Lunch Program are that it limits calories and sodium in school meals. Starting in 25-26, all meals served to students that meet the meal pattern requirements will be at no cost to the student under the New York State Universal Free Meals Program. It introduces whole grains and a variety of fruit and vegetable groups daily and weekly, and it requires or encourages students to take a variety of components to make a complete meal. Some of the cons of the National School Lunch Program are that the general fund budget must cover the shortfall between meal and reimbursement amount and the actual cost of the meal. For year one, all households that feel they're eligible for free or reduced meals must complete an application. Increased potential food waste, since minimum requirements must be offered to students regardless of whether or not the foods are taken. If a student chooses not to take all components required at the meal pattern, they will need to be charged a la carte for each item sold, causing confusion or confrontation if staff are to insist on a student taking items so the student receives the meal at no cost.
So one of the biggest things that attending the webinars, talking to other schools, forcing the students to take items they don't plan on eating is definitely an issue.
It's definitely what, an issue?
Is definitely an issue.
Okay.
Because from a district standpoint, you don't want to serve a partial meal, because then we don't receive the full value that the New York State Universal Meals Program is going to be giving us. So some districts create a sharing table. So they take the items from that serving line. When they walk out, before they sit down, whatever they're not going to eat, they put on a sharing table. That comes with its own plethora of issues. However, the flip side of that is the kids walk off with the container of garbanzo beans, and before they even get to the table, they throw it inside the trash can. So there's a perception tied to the process here. The perception is we're wasting food. However, from a district standpoint, if we don't make them take that container of garbanzo beans, we can't claim that meal in order to get reimbursed. So not only do we give a free meal away or a free main away, the chicken sandwich or the burger, but that's not the purpose of it. The purpose is, this entire program is to get students to, quote, quote, be required to take the items that maybe they don't want to eat. So we call that a con, because what goes along with it is the kids are taking pictures of things they're throwing inside of the garbage. That is a known problem across districts, across the state, across the country, that kids are required to get that federal reimbursement to take items that they know they're not going to eat. And we should be forcing that in order to get our reimbursement value.
Just so I can better understand that, in the next slide, you did a nice job with the comparisons. I don't know if you want to go to that real quick.
Choose a couple of more bullets.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let her finish.
You got it.
The next item is reduced quality of ingredients due to strict limitations on calorie requirements, whole grain standards, and cost of products. Assume initial influx of participation due to high demand of universal free meals and preparations for the potential of large volume of meals, but participation is unknown and could diminish with the changes in product quality. We would no longer qualify to participate in the federal milk program. Once you're in the National School Lunch Program, you can only choose one of the two, so we would either choose milk or lunch, so we would obviously be choosing lunch over milk. Accompaniments and condiments such as cream cheese, ketchup, salad dressing, butter, and dipping sauces would be limited and only served in reduced fat, reduced sugar, or fat-free options to accommodate the nutrient profile of the meal pattern standards. Free and reduced meal application verifications to prove the accuracy of the information is required. Additional administrative burden is placed on the food service director and liability due to lack of child nutrition program compliance.
I just have a question on this slide.
Sure.
Mike, do you mind if I jump in? Okay, thanks. Just the reduced quality of ingredients that you have up there, I'm seeing the reasons that you're citing. Do we have control over, let's say, green beans in water with sodium or fresh green beans? Do we still have, I know chickens is always an interesting item on a lunch menu, and the quality that you serve here is currently higher quality than where I've seen elsewhere. So will we still have that ability to choose higher quality items?
When it comes to fruits and vegetables, absolutely. We can definitely serve fresh fruits and vegetables. When it comes to the center of the plate items, because the whole grain restrictions are so tight, and child nutrition, you'll see in a later slide, it's called a CN label. They really need you to be able to credit certain items in order to show what the meat alternate is, what it credits for, what the grain compliance is. So it's a little bit harder to pick and choose what we decide we want to serve when we're making things from scratch, because we have to be able to put it into the meal pattern requirement and say exactly how it's crediting towards what child nutrition requires. So for fruits and vegetables, yes. For the center of the plate, it's a little bit more difficult to pick and choose.
What was the
For
second?
the center of the plate item, for the main item, it's a little bit more difficult.
So I'm sorry, can you give me an example of, let's say, a meat item, a protein? What would that look like?
Like a hamburger or like a chicken patty or even the meatballs, something like that, like the main entree.
So I just want to understand why it's more difficult. I'm so sorry. But
Because
I'm not-
child nutrition wants us to be able to let them know exactly how it's credited. So you have to have if something has to have 2 ounces of meat, and I'm saying to child nutrition, well, I made them myself, they want me to be able to prove to them with a formulation statement or with a standardized recipe to say how I actually made that. So instead, they would prefer for schools to have a pre-made product with a formulation statement and a child nutrition label to say, this is exactly 2 ounces of meat, and it's credited with 1 ounce of grain because of the breading.
And
So
is it too labor intensive to do that in-house?
it's very labor intensive, and I would have to submit all of that to the state. They would have to come back and say to me, yes, you're exactly correct, and then it's a process, especially in the beginning when we're first starting out. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. It just takes a lot of time.
Doing something like that, again, putting the work in the beginning, is that future years you wouldn't have to then provide that recipe again? Or is it every year you have to provide the formulas and the recipes? And
Once it's submitted, it's submitted.
Okay. I did have a few questions on this slide as well. Just, what is you're saying we would no longer qualify to participate in the federal milk program. What does that look like financially?
We currently receive about $7,500 annually as the federal reimbursement for the milk program.
Okay.
And actually, just to touch on that, one thing again with the recipes, a lot of schools, and I know we've spoken about the cycle menus before, a lot of schools stick with cycle menus for that specific reason, because it's much easier to know what your menus are going to look like and to know that you're compliant. So it's easier to stick with a cycle menu knowing that the state and child nutrition have already said, yep, you're meeting all the requirements, this is good to go, and that's why they tend to stick with the same menu over and over again.
And we currently stick to some kind of a cycle menu today, don't we?
I tend to use a lot of the same products in different ways, in various ways, but it's not specifically a cycle menu the way schools in the National School Lunch Program do.
I think that if the option is to choose between quality of food and kind of a limited menu choice, that it makes sense to go with higher quality food.
Mm-hmm.
Just one more question.
Sure.
I'm not sure, we all try at home to probably follow some of these I'll say it's a con, but as far as like the third one from the bottom, it's cream cheese, ketchup, sour dressing. I know there's a lot of sugars, and, including those dipping sauces. So why being limited to serve reduced fat, sugar, or fat-free options? Why would that be considered a con? Because the kids won't choose them, or because what would be the issue with that?
I think it's a personal choice for some of the students. We have a lot of students who, we make a lot of our sauces homemade, so that would have to change. At the high school level specifically, I think they only take some of the items because they love the sauces so much. So it would just be a difference in what they would be putting on their sandwiches.
Okay.
So maybe not necessarily a con, because obviously lower fat and lower sugar is better.
Right.
It's just going to be different.
Gotcha.
So this is just a comparison of what our menu kind of currently looks like. It's just a little bit of an example, and what a National School Lunch Program menu would look like. So basically, you know, I just threw together what a Monday would look like compared to a Monday in the National School Lunch Program. Right now, we use a fresh bakery roll for all of our bread. So a hamburger on a bakery Kaiser roll with lettuce and tomato, seasoned curly fries, milk, and a half a cup of peaches. The National School Lunch Program would be a hamburger on a whole wheat bun with lettuce and tomato, 3/4 of a cup of vegetarian beans, fat-free milk, and a half a cup of peaches.
So just with that particular menu day,
Mhm.
when you said before that kids can choose not to take an option or to take a portion of this meal.
Mhm.
So how would that work? I forget about the high school, but K through 8th grade.
Mhm.
Are they given a tray, or are they giving the entire meal? So how would they not select a portion of that meal so we don't get credit for it?
So in any case, they have to take a fruit or a vegetable. So
Which if I'm reading the top one is what we provide now, do they take the cup of peaches now?
well, they're offered it. If they don't want to take it, we don't force them to.
But the parents are paying for it regardless?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the meal comes as a, well, if they take just the hamburger, they're paying a la carte for just the
I
hamburger.
got you. But I'm saying
Yes.
for the meal fee, everything is included.
Yeah,
Parents
so-
are paying
so-
for it. The kids still have the option not to take it.
Yes, they have the option not to take it. So currently at the secondary level, we have the main entree, and if it's French fries, we don't serve beans right now, but that's just an example for the National School Lunch Program. If it's a hamburger and French fries, we put it in the container because at the secondary level, it's grab and go. So they would already be taking the hamburger with the French fries at the secondary level. If they don't want to take the fruit, we don't force them to. But the hamburger with the French fries, they would be paying full price for. If they take only the hamburger, they're only paying for the main item. So they're paying an a la carte price for that right now. We encourage them to take juice if they don't want to take the fruit. 9 times out of 10 they do because it's a drink.
Yeah. No, I can envision this being more difficult at the high school than at K through
Yeah.
8, because you can, I don't want to say force them, but they're paying for the entire meal regardless. Do you get a lot of a la carte at the middle school? Or is
Yeah.
it more just the meal?
Yeah, no, we do. We do. It just depends on what the menu items are for that day.
Pieces that we had a hard time articulating on this particular slide here is the protein products. Even though both lines say hamburger, the meat that is used in our current hamburger is different than the meat that we will be using in the National School Lunch Program hamburger. One of the things that Sarah was trying to explain to me earlier today in preparation for tonight's presentation was included in the meat for the National School Lunch Program is different fillers and different additives that go into that chopping, that go into that meat, that they consider part of the meat, that even though it's a hamburger, it's not the same hamburger that we're currently serving today.
But you could make an argument that the hamburger we're currently serving today meets the ingredient requirements to this. You could make that argument to the state.
We can't.
Oh.
The current meat that we're currently serving today does not meet
Okay.
the meal requirements. A slide or two later, you're going to see the best way to operate in the National School Lunch Program is to purchase National School Lunch Program certified products. So we don't have to question whether or not they've been stamped for their approval for use. And in a slide or two, a very good example of a piece of chicken that'll help explain how the protein is not the same protein that we're currently using, even though we say on Tuesday an all-white meat chicken nugget, and on Tuesday in National School Lunch Program a chicken nugget. Yeah, it's not the same chicken nugget.
So
The chicken inside is different.
Mr. Curie, that was my question that I was asking
Yes.
before. So if I could just hammer down a little bit on that. we do have the opportunity to create a higher quality product. I understand that it may be labor intensive, but just to clarify, do we have the opportunity to take a hamburger and meet the requirements, but use the meat that we want?
We definitely have the opportunity to make our own protein. It has to meet the nutritional limitations.
Sure.
And would it be better? Would it be possible? The answer is yes. However, is it going to be cost effective when I'm making my own product now? The whole purpose of joining a national school lunch program is to ensure that we're able to provide meals at a cost that doesn't exceed the reimbursement factor. So the benefit of buying child nutrition approved, I'm going to call it ingredients, is they're coming at a much cheaper cost. To do an in-house hamburger, putting the labor intensivity aside, it's going to come at a much greater cost, which will further build the gap between our reimbursement that we're getting from either New York State, national, the federal program, because we're building it from scratch and not taking advantage of the large buying power that the National School Lunch Program affords us the opportunity.
Yeah, I understand some of those complexities, but I guess, you know, there was so much pride that the district took in the quality of food leading up to this, that when I look at something like chicken nuggets with whole grain, just because they're slapping whole grain on it, doesn't mean that, you know, it's meeting their boxes of nutritional value, but it's not necessarily a better product. So, you know, if we end up going in this direction, I would just really implore us to look at if it's possible to really maintain the quality of the protein.
As long as we are willing to subsidize with outside general funding for it and hire the additional staff, I think we could definitely adapt the program to the highest level within the nutritional limitations afforded us under the National School Lunch Program. We definitely have the staff, we definitely have the desire. That's why we're trying to keep our program the way our program is. However, it's very hard to not present the opportunities for families that could take advantage of universal meals, but we are on a collision course to say, hey, we're going to do universal meals, but we're going to do it at our current standard. The cost is going to be exorbitant above what our program is going to be able to handle.
Thank you.
Just to stay on that point real quick, I didn't jump in earlier because I thought we were waiting to the end for questions, but
Sorry.
It's okay. And maybe in the future slides you could just say wait, and we'll get to it. But slide 5, where you had the chart for provision 2, you had the financial responsibility, and you said schools must cover any shortfall. So do we? I know you're really good at kind of forecasting, but can you let us know what you believe that shortfall will be for the next year?
Sure. I'm going to do my best to share with you the current model that we're currently working under. Everything that you're seeing tonight is based on doubling participation.
Okay.
So if the Wading River School is serving 100 meals, we're going to serve 200 meals. We see an increased participation due to the universal meals free.
That makes sense.
With that being said, if the Wading River School is operating at an $80,000 loss currently for the school year, we just can't say, okay, that loss is going to now be offset by the money coming in as our subsidy. Because one of the components that we're going to have to factor into that, Mike, is our a la carte items that we're no longer able to sell. If I took my a la carte sales out of the Wading River numbers, my loss jumps to more like 115. So I'm doing my best to say, okay, out of 200 meals, I'm going to get $4.52, assuming that's what I'm going to get. I'm going to offset it, but I really don't know how much am I gonna save on my ingredients. If we looked at it today, if participation increases, doubles, we do not predict that our loss will be greater than where we are today, but we would have served more kids. But we would have served more kids with a different meal. Now the question is, that's September, October, November. Districts that have joined the National School Lunch Program, you start out strong because everyone wants to try the new thing that's on the block. Everyone wants to try this new opportunity. Until little Johnny comes home and says, I'm starving because I don't want to eat that food. And now they're stuck with, okay, what do we do? Now it's November, and they only like one thing on the cycle menu each week because they don't want to eat the chicken example here that we happen to have here, the golden crispy whole grain chicken stick. The child nutrition label reads, it's 8.42 ounce fully cooked stick-shaped chicken patty fritters, 2 ounce equivalent meat or meat alternate, and 1 ounce equivalent grain for the child nutritional meal pattern requirement. So if Sarah was to build that chicken stick from scratch, she needs to build that stick exactly the way the child nutrition label for her to approve it. So, Mike, I do think out of the gate, we're going to see larger participation. We're going to feed more kids. We will see a little bit lower loss because as long as we're able to buy these products that come cheaper. If we're going to feed more kids and we're going to keep the from scratch cooking, we're definitely, and reduce a la carte sales, we're definitely going to see our losses increase.
So the a la carte option is still available, right?
The a la carte option with, you're going to see a couple of slides later, what we will no longer be allowed to sell. If you give me a slide or two for that
No,
one.
okay, just clarifying the cost. So if my child only wants the burger
Yes.
and not everything else, and I'm willing to pay for that, just the burger,
Yep.
I can send him money to pay for the burger.
Definitely.
You're not going to use that. That's not a meal that you can get subsidized because that's an a la carte. So that's no loss to the district, let's say, right?
As long as I'm selling it to you at a significant price, yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Because the rub with that is the parent's going to want to come in and say, let me see if I understand this correctly, Mr. Arcuri. If my child takes the burger, takes the fruit, takes the beans, takes the milk, it's free. But if they just take the burger, you want to charge me $4.55. It's a very hard, I battle that same question throughout the school
But
year.
is that what we're charging today? Is the a la carte price the same as the entire meal price?
No, meal price like $5.50.
And what's the a la carte price?
I was off, $4.25 versus $4.55. Sorry, close. But it's that constant battle of, if it's a universal free meal, which is why we're considering for the first time seriously joining the National School Lunch Program, we have to take advantage of what the National School Lunch Program offers to keep our costs at a reasonable level.
I get it, but I feel like the program is also trying to encourage kids to have a well-balanced meal.
I agree.
So,
I'm not disagreeing.
I know we can't force them to eat the beans but maybe we can be creative in providing those side dishes that meet, a balanced meal instead of just taking the a la carte option.
My biggest concern is, I know this is an example, but that ingredients list is a very far picture from what a white meat chicken nugget. So
Yeah, I don't know. We don't have what we serve.
So this is an example of what child nutrition approves. This is something that they would encourage us to purchase for a National School Lunch Program meal.
yeah, that's concerning.
Yeah,
And
and that's
again,
not
they-
what, we don't serve those.
They provide you a list of vendors that are certified under the program to purchase from, so you could see different meal types or different food groups, I imagine.
Does Child Nutrition offer that to us? Well, we would probably go into the Long Island Co-op, and then they would give us a list of vendors that have approved items.
Okay. So you get to sample some of the different products that they have.
That would happen in December.
Okay, so December of this year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
would-
guess my question
I
is,
would
are
do
there
those.
healthier options than this?
Oh, absolutely. This was just an example that I was able to pull up that had a CN label on it.
Okay, thank you.
This is the reimbursement rate for this year. The reimbursement rate for next year won't be out until July of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just to show,
So can you walk us through this?
sure. So we would fall under the less than 60% plus PBR, which is performance-based reimbursement. So the free rate right now is $4.52 per student because all students would be considered under the free rate.
So if assuming Mr. Arcuri is correct, that double the participation, so what did you estimate the number of meals would look like daily? So
I'm
by-
sorry, it'd be $4.57, not $4.
So
Sorry.
basically 458 almost per meal. We're charging what today? Today, Glenn, is, what are we charging?
$5.20.
5 and change? But this would then be free, so students, parents wouldn't have to lay out the 525.
Correct. So then, let's just take, if we were to take our existing meal that we currently make today,
Yes,
and we sell it for $5.50, and now the state is reimbursing me $4.50, and
we're
all-
losing a dollar, I got it.
and all things are equal, I am losing a dollar, and with increased participation, if I'm doubling, if I sold 100 meals and I lost $100, now I'm losing $200.
Understood.
So we have to be able to, I understand the desire for quality food, totally understand that. But if I'm increasing participation
Yep.
and my reimbursement is less than what I'm currently selling it, and I'm currently operating at an operating loss, there's no way for me to stand up here and say, I'm going to need less money to support the program,
Understood.
because the added loss of revenue pertains to, I'm going to use the word, when I threaten the kids I'm taking away their carnival cookies, and they tell me, Mr. Arcuri, you're not. I said, I am. Carnival cookies are 100% that they're buying cookies. They want to eat their cookies. Well, carnival cookies no longer fall within the
Understood.
allowable items that I could sell as part of the NSLP.
Understood. The question I have is, meal versus a meal versus a meal. Is breakfast the same reimbursement rate as lunch? So breakfast is different than the 457.9?
Yes.
So this is just lunch.
This is just lunch.
Is there a chart for what we get reimbursed for breakfast?
I don't have that with me.
Okay.
Wouldn't-
Is it similar?
Wouldn't
think
we
it's an
only be
important-
covered for one?
I couldn't hear your question.
Wouldn't we only be covered for one under two?
No,
Well,
I think you'd get
I
both
think
if
it's
you serve
important to-
breakfast. Go ahead.
This is a great point to start out and say, if we join a national school lunch program for September, we're only going to start with lunch.
Yeah.
It is typical, you start, your first year, you launch with lunch. When that gets off the ground, you then launch for breakfast the following year. The reimbursement rate is definitely lower for breakfast.
Yep.
Um,
But it's not to say it couldn't be offered.
It could definitely be offered,
Okay.
no doubt.
Mr. Curry, I was under the impression that provision 2 was you can choose which meals to offer, either breakfast or lunch. Oh, no, or both, I apologize. You can offer both.
You definitely can. The
Okay.
problem is launching a breakfast program that we currently do not offer
Yeah,
is in and of itself another challenge that I'm going to have to dedicate resources and staff to, because it's definitely a change in culture. They will have to eat inside of their classrooms. It will not be an option. And I do have to create a system where basically a very simple, we have discussed different models. You have a folding table, you have someone there with a clipboard. Glenn walks in, Glenn takes the bag, checks Sarah, and we just go down that line, and we go put it inside of the computer. But then there needs to be, okay, they go into their classrooms, they're eating breakfast while they're doing whatever their startup work is. Is there a trash pickup at that time during that portion? Buildings only have a single, the elementary buildings only have a single custodian until a certain time. They come in for lunch. So we have other logistics that I would have to work out before I'm able to even stand up here and confidently tell you we're ready to launch a breakfast program in September, as well as join the lunch program for National School Lunch.
Okay.
USDA commodities and entitlement. In the National School Lunch Program, commodities refer to the foods that USDA provide to schools to use to offset costs in their school meals program. A school's entitlement in the National School Lunch Program is the dollar value of commodities received. This number is determined by the number of lunches served from the previous year. Since we would be going into our first year of the National School Lunch Program, we would not be entitled to any commodities until we've established a full year of meal counts to base reimbursable meal counts on. Every year after, our entitlement will be calculated using the claims based on the previous school year's free, reduced, and paid meal counts moving forward. The pros to commodities are they lower your menu costs, foods are USDA and child nutrition approved, and you can utilize fresh fruits and vegetables because they're sometimes available when they're in season. The cons would be the food quality is unknown, there's no name brand. Requested items are not always guaranteed. They have limited storage space because it's a monthly delivery to one location in your SFA. And it will take time to regulate our average daily participation in order to have a true entitlement assessment. We should expect fluctuations until we receive it, which can take up to 2 years.
Can you help me with what commodity? I still don't understand what that meant. What does a commodity mean to them?
So it's a bulk food that you would receive from USDA. So the next slide actually shows what a commodity worksheet looks like.
Okay.
These are the items that would be, this is just an example of something that I pulled off of their website.
100%.
So if we were in the National School Lunch Program, this
Yep.
would be an example of the items that would be offered to me. This is monthly, I would do it the month before. I would put in my request, if my entitlement is $10
Yes.
and each of these items cost $1, I would put in what I would request. They would let me know a couple of weeks in advance what was actually available to me. They would set up the delivery. But as you can see listed, it's a very generic list of items. So applesauce can be Johnny Appleseed's applesauce. It may not be Mott's, well, it would never be Mott's, but you know what I
Right,
mean?
I know
It's
what
a
you
very
mean, yeah.
generic brand of items.
So cheese is like the American cheese, they just send you a bunch of
Right.
large blocks of cheese.
Right.
Got
I
it.
mean, like I said, though, it does offset menu costs. So a lot of times when you're using entitlement, just from previous schools I've worked in before, I would veer more towards fruit, vegetables, not necessarily the beef or the chicken. Those
Understood.
are items that, without a name brand, it's kind of hard to rely on for your menus.
How soon eligible our input?
A year and a half to 2 years.
So that is an important point. Until we establish a baseline, since we're not part of the National School Lunch Program,
Right.
we don't see an entitlement opportunity for at least an 18-month operating window until they start to see our I'm going to say, our patterns of reimbursement patterns. So
Understood.
that dictates the participation rates. That begins to start to create a historical trend for us. And then they start to say, well, your district is processing X. You're entitled to this commodity value.
So it's almost like, in my business, it's called value in kind. You get to use dollars back, right? Is that similar? Okay, that's
The
fair.
difference is, though, one of the things that we try to understand is the purpose of this is to offset cost.
Understood.
It flies directly in the face of increased quality of food. You know, one of the jokes that a colleague told me, before they serve the ham, if they want to use the ham on Thursday, they first slice it out of the plastic on Monday, put it on a drip tray, and let it drip in the walk-in cooler for 3 days. Because now finally you get all the water and whatever else is in it out, and then you can actually slice it. Because that's just the quality that comes with it. It is still ham, but it's different than the ham that we typically serve here today.
Understood.
Sounds delicious.
But it's free.
Got it.
In the last slide, you had mentioned limited storage space, monthly delivery to one location. Can you explain that a little further? So that we would get one delivery to the high school, the middle school, and then you would have to then separate it and
Yep. So in our case, it would be the middle school since we have the biggest, we have the only walk-in freezer there, and a lot of the commodity items do come in frozen. So I would have to choose what location it would be delivered to. We would set up a delivery date, and then we would transport all the items. We would separate it out and transport it to each individual school.
That's 18 months down the road still.
Yeah, we
Okay,
don't have to worry
sorry.
about that anytime soon.
Sorry. Yep, thanks.
That's time consuming though.
So smart snacks in schools. Any food sold in schools must comply with the smart snack regulations. It must be a whole grain rich product or have the first ingredient as a fruit, a vegetable, a dairy product, or a protein food, or be a combination food that contains at least a quarter cup of fruit and or vegetable. Foods must also meet several nutrient requirements. These are the calorie limits right there for snacks and for entrees. Specific sodium limits, fat limits, zero trans fat, sugar limits.
Is that the vending machine and the school store as well?
Yes, it would be all snacks in schools. Did you want? Oh, okay. Yes. There's also nutrition standards for beverages that fall into the smart snack category. So all schools can sell plain water, unflavored, low-fat milk, unflavored or flavored fat-free milk, and milk alternatives that are permitted by the National School Lunch Program, 100% fruit or vegetable juice, and 100% fruit or vegetable juice diluted with water with or without carbonation, and no added sweeteners. Elementary schools can sell up to 8-ounce portions. Middle schools can sell up to 12-ounce portions of milk and juice, but it limits the beverage variety. High schools can sell up to 12-ounce portions of milk and juice, and the standards allow additional no-calorie and lower-calorie beverage options. So, for example, we can sell Powerade Zero or the sparkling ices because they have no sugar in them. There's no limit on plain water. The pros to smart snacks. We currently sell a few approved beverage items. We sell water, we sell the sugar-free sparkling ice, the sugar-free vitamin water, 1% white milk and fat-free chocolate milk, and we sell a variety of 4-ounce juices. The cons, the popular beverages that do not meet the standards cannot be sold anymore. We do sell regular Gatorade, so that we have an option that's not sugar-free. We sell Arnold Palmer iced tea, which is a half and half. It's a lower calorie, but it does still have sugar, a higher sugar requirement. And we do sell regular vitamin water. It does increase the amount of products with artificial sweeteners under this, the smart snack requirements.
Yeah.
The pros, we currently sell a few smart snack approved items. So all of our baked chips, like our baked Lay's, we do sell reduced fat Doritos and other forms of baked and reduced fat chip items, and our Linden's chocolate chippers. The cons are that the popular items that don't meet the standards cannot be sold anymore. Our David's gluten-free chocolate chip cookies and our Snickerdoodle we cannot sell anymore. The Carnival cookies, the baked muffins that we bake fresh daily, we can't sell anymore. Regular Lay's potato chips, the Welch's fruit snacks don't meet the requirements, and the increased amount of products with artificial sweeteners. Smaller portion sizes may meet the requirements, so students may tend to buy multiple snacks instead of just one.
What is our typical profit margin on snacks?
Usually about 50%.
50%?
The next steps if the district elects to join the National School Lunch Program. The School Food Authority, which would be our school district, we would have to fill out the application and submit it by July 31st. We would be required to participate in the National School Lunch Program, to be in the New York State Universal Free Meals Program. We would join the Long Island Co-op. All food purchases must comply with the Buy American provision and procurement processes through the National School Lunch Program. We review current staffing levels, vacancies, and develop staffing needs based on projected increase in student participation. Currently, we have 6 part-time food service worker vacancies, 4 at the high school, 1 at Wading River, and 1 at Miller Avenue. We have 1 full-time food service worker position at Miller Avenue, and we have 1 cook position available at the high school. With the anticipated increase in participation, we project the following additional staff would be needed. A cook for Miller Avenue, 3 full-time food service workers, 1 for the high school, 1 for the middle school, and 1 for Wading River, and 2 part-time food service workers, 1 for Wading River and 1 for Miller Avenue. We would have to begin to schedule mandatory training for staff to comply with the National School Lunch Program.
Can I ask you a quick question? You said the application, if we fill out the application by the deadline and it get accepted, you're required to participate in the program?
Well,
The answer is yes. If we submit the application to the National School Lunch Program and then we get accepted, they're expecting us to participate. I can't put my approval on hold. What I'm able to do is, if I'm in the National School Lunch Program, find that we have changed our mind, I have to send a letter to the state. They have 14 days to respond back, and they've already told us they're gonna try to convince us to stay because it's in the best interest of children. And after we pass our 14-day window, then we have to follow strict notification provisions provided by the state, give 60-day notice to the parents and guardians that we're going to be stopping participation, and then after that we can return to our own program.
So it's about 3 months.
Approximately.
Yeah, it was on the second slide, it was like at the bottom. I had the same question.
Now, one of the most important challenges, putting aside quality of food, putting aside what it's going to take to get the National School Lunch Program up and functioning, is we operated 2024-25 school year with a skeleton staff, unable to hire staff. Mr. Hayward has tried countless efforts. It's a very big concern for me to stand up here and say, I recommend joining a National School Lunch Program when I just have to have one more cook leave and I'm closing a kitchen come September until I hire.
What is the biggest challenge that this district faces, unless you have conversations with the other colleagues in other districts?
Other districts are battling the same challenge.
problem?
You could see I sent home a newsletter article, just I think last week's update. One of the food service providers to school districts, Whitson's, laying off 150 workers. It is not profitable. It's just not there. Sag Harbor, struggling. They're basically trying to take their bus drivers, after they get out of the bus, give them bus driver pay to work in the kitchen, work in the cafeterias, and then go back on the bus. So they have a model because they have a pool of bus drivers and matrons because they have their own transportation. We tried that. We tried the partnership with First Student. The matron earns $23 an hour sitting on the bus, and they're not doing working inside of a hot kitchen. I couldn't even keep them there. Whether Mr. Hayward has put it out on OLAS, whether Mr. Poole has put it out on Facebook, we have made constant pleas. We just recently lost a person from one of our buildings, a full-time food service worker. They took a different position. They got out of the kitchen. They went into more of a support staff role inside of a different district. It's a very challenging job for a very low rate of salary when you're dealing with full-time work, union work, but you're dealing with the benefits attached to that job. If they're taking family medical and they're in the pension system, is totaling the district's cost greater than the salary, greater than the amount of money they're getting paid as a paycheck. So we have to factor that into our equation of how are we going to staff? What is our staffing model going to be? How are we going to lure staff? Are we going to look at alternatives such as raising salaries, and it becomes a very big problem.
I'm just
when
going to
you're-
ask you that.
It-
What is that contractual based on civil service, the food service worker, or is it something different?
No, contractual salaries are based on the CSEA collective bargaining union agreement. The challenge with just updating one column, each column in the CSEA contract has a different title, whether it's a teacher assistant, special education aide,
Right.
so on and so forth. If we target one column, 3 other columns are going to turn around and say, well, we deserve more too. So we've always been very cognizant as a district, with the exception of guards a number of years ago due to hostilities at other school districts around the country. That's the only column we've ever singularly pulled out to increase to try to hire staff.
While I appreciate that comment, you just mentioned that the food service worker is probably the lowest level that we have.
Agreed.
So I'm not sure that that comment's valid, but give me an idea, what does a food service worker currently hourly for our district earn? Do we know that off the top of our head?
The part-timers make $17.50 an hour.
$17.50?
Mhm.
And would the difference of a part-time versus full-time, is that more appealing to workers that we're seeing? Or is it just the fact that we can't find part-time? Because we're looking for more part-time than we are
We've
full-time.
had plenty of full-time I'd be thrilled to make 2 part-time positions a full-time position.
Okay,
Mr. Haywood has tried any which way from under the sun to make it an appealing offer.
no, I think your point was valid. If a bus driver, not that, I can't compare jobs. I'm just saying if a bus company is offering $30 an hour for a bus driver, we're offering $17.50 for a food service worker, right there you have a big disconnect already. I
And
think
if
that's what you're trying to share, Glenn.
That is exactly what I was trying to share. However, if my part-time food service worker at $17.50 an hour,
Yes,
that is the base driver for the salary for the full-time food service worker that is protected by the union contract.
understood.
So if I take my part-time food service worker, bring them to McDonald's rate of $21.50 an hour, that's $4 an hour more. Now granted, the part-time food service worker is not taking advantage of benefits. They're not taking advantage of what goes with it, but the worker doesn't necessarily factor that into their hourly rate.
Understood.
And we did one time improve the part-time food service worker pay, and we did not in sync with the full-time food service worker. It was going to get handled in the next contract settlement. So we got ahead of it by a year, and that was not well received by my food service staff. I was not well liked for that year.
Okay.
Mr. Curie, this is probably a difficult question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. When you look at the projected labor needs and some of the challenges of switching to a program like this, how do you anticipate the portion that the district would need to cover from the general funds as compared to what we currently do?
For the first year, I'm counting on using what's called fund balance inside of the school lunch fund. A couple of slides later, you'll see we have about $400,000 in fund balance inside of the school lunch fund. How much am I going to need? If I have to hire all the additional positions, I'm going to be out of that $400,000 for the end of that school year. Because I personally do not see, at a reimbursement rate of $4.52, if I'm not getting any free commodities for the first 16 to 18 months, I have to carry the additional burden of ingredient costs for increased participation on the back of the general fund in order to establish a baseline so that I'm able to receive subsidies in commodities, and then it becomes a possibility of running inside a break-even state. But the first year and a half to 2 years in any startup organization, it's going to come at initial startup costs.
Okay, so to clarify, you think initially the National School Lunch Program will cost more from the general fund than what we currently do, and then it will even out?
assuming that my participation does not decrease, it should, and we start to take advantage of the commodity foods, the answer is yes. Assuming that we're able, what we have to do is adapt our student base to accept the food that we're serving and to participate. Because, think about it, if, in order for me to open up the Wading River Kitchen on a standard day, I need a full-time cook, I need a full-time food service worker, and minimum 2 part-time food service workers. If I am not seeing 50% participation in that building, which even in my current program, I don't have 50% participation because the third graders have no experience in a cafeteria inside of a kitchen. They don't begin to enter there to even think about getting food off of the serving line until January. Because they're not introduced to that at the K2 level. If I'm already operating at a loss now, and I'm going to increase my participation by 50%, and I'm going to decrease my revenue, there's no question I'm going to operate further in the red. But it should help us when we begin to get our commodities and get our cheese-like products and get our things that we're going to be able to hopefully use free commodities to now fill that void of my operating loss.
But that has no thought of looking at the quality of food and possibly taking on more cost to improve the quality of food if we were to go with this program.
Ms. Teppenhart, I came to the podium tonight with the intent of staying within child nutrition approved foods.
Right.
In order to bring a program forward so that we could participate in universal school meals, so that the community could take advantage to what the governor is offering.
Yes.
But for 15 years, I have faced the same question here in this district. They want quality, they want healthy options, and the district has always supported, you'll see a slide or two, how much the general fund has supported the district's program, and it's been working well. However, it's so difficult to leave the opportunity of universal meals and just turn a blind eye to it. So it has not been an easy decision, and it's even harder to not be able to give you firm numbers, because I have no way of knowing what participation is going to really be.
Yeah,
And that's fair.
I think there was a small window of time during COVID that we heard the community kind of respond to this because we didn't participate in it. And there was a
100%
short
correct.
window, I don't know how long it was, Tom, but it was a short period of time that
We did a
it was
breakfast program.
funded.
We did, Sarah and her team did a free breakfast program. We actually partnered with the Riverhead School District, and we had, and the summer food program, where it was free meals. Even though we weren't part of the National School Lunch Program, we did not say no for that year of COVID. That was where the general fund subsidized the program for that value. But now it's even higher because it's a permanent decision.
I'd like to ask Mr. Perez and Ms. Anderson to join us back up on stage, because I'd like to have a discussion real quick with everyone, so we can give you guidance, Glenn, on what next steps are.
5 or 2 more, so you just.
Oh, there are? I didn't realize that. Okay, I thought we were done. Okay.
So just to touch base on the Miller Avenue Lunch Program,
Yep.
The current pre-order program will remain in place for school year 25-26.
Yep.
All parents and guardians that want meals for Miller Avenue students must continue to place their orders through Arbiter Sports regardless of their child's free, reduced, or paid status. So the district can identify meal status to accurately submit reimbursement claims. To switch from a pre-order program to an offer versus served program, a serving line and a point of sale system is needed.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Should we put this in place for all the district buildings, the K through, I guess, instead of the high school and middle school maybe? Would that help you to know in advance what kids are looking to order?
I think it would be really difficult for students or parents to pre-order at the secondary level, only because when they come in and they can choose.
I'm sorry, I meant at the lower schools. I meant at Wading
Oh.
River and Miller Avenue. Would it help you to have that in advance? Because does that work really well for you at Miller Avenue today?
Not exactly.
Not really? Okay.
It's,
all right.
it works for Miller Avenue because it's what we have in place right now. It would be harder to transition from that if we are transitioning into the National School Lunch Program because it's what we've been doing.
Okay.
But to put that in place for Wading River, I think if it's not broke.
Okay, that's
we
fine.
don't-
Just thought I'd bring it up. I didn't know if it was easier to get pre-orders. This way you know what you're looking at. That's
It's
all.
not easier for parents.
It's definitely not easier for parents.
It's not easier
that's
for parents.
Is anything ever
We'll
easier?
transition from that
Like,
as soon as
hey,
we
you're gonna
can.
want chicken nuggets in 2 weeks? That's what you have to do.
They say yes.
Good point, Jim. Okay, I'll take it. Thank
So
you.
then just a quick glance
Yeah.
at historical activity.
Yep.
So you can see from 15-16 to 23-24, 15-16, we did not have the Wading River kitchen, the middle school kitchen. High school was operating at a minimal loss. The more we've added, the larger the loss is. You can see in 1920, 2021, where it was free meals for all, our lunch costs increased. The net loss increased. And you can see we're averaging about $200,000 with the Miller Avenue program operating. Support from the general fund.
Yep.
Again, 15-16, 215,000. Out of that 215 for that year, 150,000 was initial startup costs for the expansion of the Wading River kitchen. Increases, right now we're budgeted $228,000. Ending fund balance, 2015-16, $205,000. We were able to accumulate some of the transfer money, save it, hold it, finishing the year 23-24 with about $438,000. We would be using this money first to offset any additional money that is between the $200,000 from the general fund and whatever the operating loss is. Operating activity to date for 24-25 school year, district-wide, $127,000 loss. Miller Avenue is our largest loss generator because they are our lowest participation. Primarily, the sentiment in the fall was from meeting with some parents and some PTA meetings. If they didn't have to pre-order, they'd be more apt to just putting money on the kids' account and allowing them to come in and eat.
Oh, so exact opposite. So the pre-orders doesn't work there.
That's what we've experienced, yes.
Got it. So, okay, I'll leave that alone for a minute.
I don't have a nice big thing here that says questions, but I apologize, just a
You
blank
don't have
screen.
what, I'm sorry, Glenn?
I don't have I just have a nice big white
Oh, that's fine.
white screen
Oh,
for you,
that's
so
fine.
we'll go back to black.
Just, Jim Smith texted me a question. He had to leave, but he wanted to know if there's any gluten-free options with this
There
program.
will always be
Always? Okay.
allergy-aware items as well as gluten-free items.
Okay, thank you.
They will adhere to National School Lunch side where they will be multi-grain. They will not be the same gluten-free options that exist today. Some of the gluten-free options that exist today are a white bread type material, not a whole grain type material. It could be a rice-based material. So it's not the same gluten-free materials ingredients that we're currently offering. Any other questions?
Questions?
Sorry
It
for
seems-
taking so
It seems,
long.
Mr. Arcuri, it seems like you initially would need to overorder and overstaff until the numbers settled out to be sure you recover everything, and then at some point, you could settle into some predictable behavior.
You will always overproduce because you don't know who's going to take what at the start.
Right.
Yep,
And in order to overproduce, I need to have staff to do so.
of course.
That's really the only question I have. I think we can debate on a philosophical level, on personal levels, all night, but in terms of not having staff to operate this, I just don't see how it's a viable course of action for us to ask you to pursue. That's my only, my biggest concern. I just don't, I think that for the past several years, we've, you know, I think, Sarah, you've worked wonders with your team, and oftentimes it's required you to, you know, cook for us, even though you're trying to run a program and be in a million different buildings. Like, I just don't see how we could do it.
And I appreciate, and I appreciate that. However, it definitely flies right in front of me as how am I taking that phone call in September that I had to take after COVID, when the COVID funding was not available to us. We weren't a CEP school. We weren't in the National School Lunch Program, and tell them, listen, I'm very, very sorry. Now that COVID's over, the district is no longer going to subsidize the free meals. Parents have gone back to work. You now have to cover the cost for that meal. So I can't agree with you more that I'm very afraid of being tasked with trying to complete this. But then I have to turn my focus to Mr. Hayward and say, you got to manufacture people for me. Find AI to help me. I don't know.
But we've tried that for several years, and it hasn't yielded the
I
people.
agree.
So I understand, like, from a PR standpoint, you know, this is not easy, and customer service wise, we would need to answer a lot of phone calls, but and answer a lot of emails. But I just don't. The answer is, like, then, I mean, I know you've said it with a tongue-in-cheek sort of way, that, you know, oh, do you want to work for us? No.
Oh, I say it all the time.
Okay, then we can't do it. We just can't do it. We literally can't deliver this program.
And one of the things that we might have glossed over, we might not have even mentioned it, but there was a single bullet that said staff needs to be trained to operate a national school lunch program. Every one of Sarah's team members are going to have to take their passion that they come to work with every day and turn it to follow a guidebook. That creativity has to be turned to, and correct me if I'm not stating that in the right manner, but they have to follow National School Lunch Program script.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I respect that, and I have so many feelings about this. That's like, it falls into the philosophical bucket again. Like, I just don't, I just think that we can debate this for too long, for too many minutes and too many hours tonight, or we can just very simply, it's not personal, it's not emotional, it's not anything, but we don't have the bodies to deliver this program.
So while Ms. Anderson, I hear your comments, I have a different opinion tonight. I think that the school district, Sarah, I applaud you and your team. I know the commitment you have to the district, but I think this is one of those moments in which we should sign up for this. I think I would rather see the district make the investment. It sounds like, I know staffing will be an issue, but our administration and our team has always come together and figured things out tougher than this. The salary issue, I'd like to hear suggestions on how Brian can be more creative, or I don't know how to solve this exactly, but I think there is going to be some pain and suffering in the beginning, but once we're on the program, I think we'll get used to it. I think this will be a big relief for families. I don't know what the average board member or person listening to this spends with their child each year. I'd say if they're buying school meals each day, it could be upwards of $100 a month, $800 per child a year. So there's a significant savings that we shouldn't forego, that we can be willing to receive. The state is behind it. I don't think the meals look that unhealthy. I don't know what kids eat these days. I know they love chicken nuggets and things, but you know, I hear the requests and things about throwing food away, and I get all of that, but I think this is something too good to pass up, and I think for our community, we should make the step affirmatively and advise Glenn and the food service to go ahead and apply for this. That's where I'm standing tonight. So, thank you.
Can you share, I'm sure there's like conversations happening across school districts that might be similar, where folks are lying in their kind of investment. I mean, staffing has to be an issue across the board. So are there, when you think about other, like comparable school districts, how have they addressed the problem? And what's their success looked like after becoming a participant?
I'm gonna start with, there's only about 6 districts that I've been able to locate within our close proximity between Westchester and Long Island that are in our current position, where they were not part of the National School Lunch Program and they're looking to try to enter. So there's not a large group that I could call and ask, how did that transition happen? They've all been part of the National School Lunch Program for years. As far as how are they handling it, there's a good number of districts that are CEP schools already. So that takes, again, another population that I'm unable to pick up the phone and call. I have spoken to a colleague that joined the National School Lunch Program last school year. That was a colleague that I mentioned that's using her bus drivers to try to get food service workers. And her program was operating at a loss, but her community wanted the opportunity for it. She's launching the breakfast program in 25, 26. So they're going all in primarily because they don't want to tell their community no. But Mr. Lockhart, it's very difficult for me to get actual data when we are an anomaly. We've been an anomaly in the food service world since I joined in 2010, when only the high school had a kitchen and students were eating inside of their classrooms with PTA and PTO food. So we have made great strides in creating a great environment to do it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to provide substantive data for me to say, I could use this as a guiding instrument to go forward with, other than to say, if our community will accept a different quality of food, I think it's a great opportunity for us to try for our community here, primarily because I do think there's a population in every community that are struggling with that food insecurity. And I know firsthand they do not come to me and fill out a free and reduced application because of their vanity. They just don't do it. And this eliminates that. This eliminates that concern. Everyone is treated equally.
I'd like to hear from the rest of the board
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
can give guidance, please.
Yeah, Tom, I agree with you on a couple points. I also, I know taxes have been going up. I know the town of Riverhead saw a big increase this past year. Looking at the menu comparisons, some a little more ideas that we could still offer, quality, healthy options to our students. I'm willing to give it a try. Like I said, I know taxes have been going up. Overall, living expenses have been increasing. It'd be a nice option to provide to the district as a whole.
Nope.
There you go.
Am I on now? So I do appreciate the presentation in terms of what you've presented tonight. I truly believe change brings opportunity, and you started off with certain opportunities that you thought this was a good approach. You also presented the cons. I am concerned with the logistical portion of doing this. I think I heard the administration say that you don't recommend doing this. Is that correct?
I say that it's going to be a challenge to do it. And I say at the onset, it's going to require overproduction, overstaffing, and it's going to provide, as with any startup company, it's going to provide additional startup dollars. And we have to stick through with it in order to get a pattern, get our free commodities, and begin to let the National School Lunch Program model, whatever that looks like for Shoreham, the best way that we could deliver it in a balanced fashion. My concern is I'm putting a larger burden financially on the general fund budget to subsidize this program at the onset. If it's 18 months before they're going to take my,
The data.
subsidy submittals
Yep.
in to begin to create a status as to what I'm entitled to, I need a financial commitment that I need 2 years' worth of money, and I have to count on the state. 25, 26, they have money available. Where am I in 26, 27? If New York State pulls out, and now New York State does not want to give us that funding, we could still stay as a national school lunch program school. We could still stay as, we get reimbursed federally for free, reduced, and we get like 56 cents or, we get a minimal amount of reimbursement for paid students, but our quality at that point will not be the same. And as long as we're willing to say, okay, we could always pull out, we could always come back and say, if the governor backs out of universal meals, we could always use that at that catalyst and say, we're done. We're gonna go back to our program. We are going to withdraw from the National School Lunch Program because the intent of us joining was to provide universal meals for all. It was never to adhere to the National School Lunch Program standards. But I don't want to say that I'm against it. I want to say that I need the money to make sure I could go through with it for those 2 years and take on the support to say, hey, listen, those kale chips that you were asking me for, they're not coming back. The carnival cookies are not coming back. The gluten-free David's cookies are not coming back. When that phone call starts to come that the kids are not eating it, it's not a reflection on the food service team. It's a derivative of, this is what the National School Lunch Program requires us. This is the framework that we are required to work under. That's where I get a little bit nervous, Mr. Press. I don't want to say I don't want to join, but it's a heavy lift, and I need to make sure that there's a commitment to tell the community, this is not a food service deliverable, their quality went down. The team has done a tremendous job to get a brand. They have a food service brand. They have a great brand at all their buildings. Their brand is going to be changing because of a choice for all kids to eat free.
Well, I appreciate that. You actually make me feel better about where I was standing, because it sounds like there is an exit ramp. So in the event we try this and we get to a position where either it doesn't work because our constituents aren't happy with the quality, or it becomes a financial burden on the district that we just, will result in issues associated with the budget, as long as there's an exit ramp. However, that exit ramp appears to be 2 years from now.
In order to really give this program a chance,
Yeah.
to know what is the commodity subsidy to us, yeah, I definitely think it wouldn't be fair, assuming that the governor keeps universal free meals in for 26, 27, assuming that her statement of universal free meals, it's staying, it isn't going, and it's not a 1 year 25, 26. If it's in 25, 26, 26, 27, it continues to stay, then we need to give it 2 years to really go through a cycle for the staff to adapt.
Yep.
Once the staff gets into their patterns, there's no way that they're going to be happy with buying something. They're going to create, just like they do it now, they're going to find their way to do their scratch cooking to make it meet the child nutritional guidelines. The staff is the furthest thing from, I'm going to use the word lazy. They're go-getters. They want the best for the kids because they want the kids to be happy. But at the initial onset, you got to help me serve what I continue to say, eat and eat items. One of the biggest things that are important that we glossed over tonight, and it just came back to me. I can't open school if I can't serve lunch in the National School Lunch Program. So we had one time this year where I had to shut down a kitchen due to a staffing issue. Well, if that same thing occurs, I either need a shelf-stable meal that Mr. Poole and I could go out and serve. That's always the joke. We're going to go and serve it. I'm going to go put something out in front of these kids, or I'm closing school for the day because I cannot open the kitchen. That's a requirement on the National School Lunch Program.
Okay, and in the uncertainty right now is staffing, right? Which
That is the
that's a
biggest
crystal ball.
uncertainty for us.
So if we don't have staff to open, we can't open school. Is that what I'm hearing?
If I don't have staff to provide meals,
What are the state requirements in terms of seat time and days in schools? So if we have to close because of their requirement to close, do we have to make up that day?
we would again, if it's excessive days, sure. It's like anything else. It is just, once you're in the National School Lunch Program, their philosophy is the kids are coming to school to eat. So they can't come to school that day, especially on the universal meals. They can't come to school if they're coming to school to eat. You have to have something available for them to eat.
I wish that was in the presentation.
And can you estimate how frequently that would have happened? I mean, this is kind of a tough thing, but like would have happened this year, had we been in the free lunch program, we would have had to close school.
Jim,
free?
the only way that, Mr. Lockhart, excuse me for that, the only way that I'm able to answer that question is, one time this year, they made it work every other time with the participation levels that exist. Give me double participation levels, I don't know if they're gonna be able to deliver. I will lean to my right, because she is the superhero with her team to do things that I don't know how she accomplishes. I don't know how they get it done. You have a different?
Yeah.
We just have to be committed as a board to see the food quality go down
Yes,
and the possibility of all of these factors to come up and not have a response that's like, try harder, Mr. Hayward, or try harder, Ms. Polino. We have to really be committed. The word commitment, I think, is key, that you said, Glenn. It's just, we're gonna be tempted to kind of say, well, make it work. Like you already said it, Tom, make it work. We can't respond that way. It has to be a full-blown commitment to all of the hiccups and everything that might come across.
I think for me, again, I mean, how do you make it work if you can't open school, right? I mean, that for me is scary right now, just
Wait,
thinking
why-
about
I'm
that,
surprised that wasn't in the presentation.
so.
It actually is. There actually was a bullet, Mr. Lewis. I apologize that we actually glossed over, but there is a bullet that says I cannot open school if I am unable to provide lunch as part of the National School Lunch Program.
I think the bigger challenge for me is, look, the quality of food is concerning, absolutely. I think, it's smoke and mirrors to say that, we're providing a balanced meal when, they're sugar-rich baked beans and chicken that's hard to identify as chicken, right? So I think Sarah and her team has done a beautiful job of creating great meals. But, we sit here and we're empty. There's no one from the community here. There's very few people watching. You have to understand this on a really intricate level to understand the decision to not go with a national school lunch program. And my concern is that when we didn't do that during COVID, or we weren't part of it, we did get this kind of really strong response from the community. And I think when every other district surrounding us is doing that, we're gonna get that strong response without them comparing the golden crispy whole grain chicken sticks that we roll up to white chicken. And again, not to take away from Sarah and her team, they've done a beautiful job. And that's part of what I'm grappling with, is I know what they do. But, if you have gluten-free options, you're just gonna get one option. You don't have a whole menu of choices. And, there are gonna be staffing issues, but I just don't know that our community is looking at the details enough that they would understand and support that decision to not look at it over time. Yeah.
So Megan, are you saying yes, that we should move forward?
I think we would get a really poor response from the community, because I don't think that I think when the surrounding districts are going with the national school lunch program and we're not, and there are people that aren't applying for reduced or free lunch and could. I think, you know, you're talking about there, you know, we have talked about it being financially difficult for people in our community. You know, I think that that is on the rise.
It gets very complex in terms
It
of
is
that, because
complicated.
we will need to pierce the tax cap in order to, if we continue to increase our expenditure budget, then we will need to pierce, and that might be inevitable for many districts due to the rising costs. We stay under 2%, at or under 2%, and when costs are rising well over 5%. So, you know, many people criticize the choices we've made in our budget, but the reality is the money doesn't add up. No matter how much expenditure we're, or no matter how much savings we have at the end, we always, it becomes part of our entire curricular programming, how we utilize the fund balance in order to then support the future budget. But the reality is the expenditures are rising at a rate that's higher than our revenue. And when we're looking at this program potentially raising our revenue, it could end up impacting the taxpayer financially more so than the choice to participate in a $5.50 meal. So it is complex. It's very, it's
agree.
complex.
Katie,
And
yes.
so I think at the end of the day, it might cost our taxpayers more money, our stakeholders more money. And then going into a little bit of the philosophical aspects of this, I do think that that it briefs well politically. It's easy for the governor to say we're offering free lunch to everybody, but then when you break down what some of these choices are, what sort of negative impacts to health are we going to then see? It's
The only thing, Katie, that I'm thinking of is that I feel like Mr. Curie said there's going to be an initial spike in cost, and then it will come down and level out. So, you know, I'm seeing it as more as an implementation cost. Everything you're saying, I don't disagree with.
Yeah, I think you're right. We are going to see an increase initially in participation, and then we're going to feed a lot less kids than we currently do.
We're going to feed less kids?
Yeah, I think less kids are going to participate because the
You
food
do?
is not. Yeah, I do.
So Henry, I know you're giving us your thoughts. Jim Lockhart, I really haven't heard from you. I think I kind of know where everyone's at. I'm going to do a straw poll in a minute. Jim, I haven't heard from you, though.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about a few things. One is, I think there's a financial cost that families have, and also a labor cost of making lunches for their kids every day that is hard to kind of quantify. It's hard to determine the decrease in quality of food compared to what we currently get. It seems like there would be, but to weigh what the cost of the decrease in quality with the benefit to families of being able to send their kid to school with no preparation needed and getting a meal that at least the state is determining is high quality enough, feels to me like something that we could, I hate to say pilot because it feels like it's not like you just flip a switch and you get to pilot it for a year. There's a lot of infrastructure and logistics that go into it. But I do worry that it's kind of this leaving, the perception that we're leaving money on the table from the state and
100%.
not trying it out and seeing if it works due to the limitations that we all know exist. And when you look under the hood, there's some real challenges that I am real hesitant to ask you all to address. But when I think about the community at large and what those demands would be or their requests, I can see people being like, you said no to free lunch? Like, why, what's the I get complaints regularly about the cost of lunch now, and it's $5. I mean, so, and it's always comparing to other districts, so my like, you know, I know we're not voting, but I
We are voting.
Well, we're
I
not
need
voting
to
on a
vote.
resolution, but we need to provide the,
Guidance,
we need to
do you
provide
move forward or
guidance,
not?
yeah.
I need
Yeah,
to get,
I
I
mean-
need an up or down.
Well, I'd be willing to try this
Okay.
option out.
Yeah, and that's where I landed. I started with, you know, change brings opportunity. There's probably opportunity here that we can take advantage of.
Yep.
However, okay, that comment about we can't open school, I need to understand better how we work around that, because.
One thing I would just want to step in there, I do apologize, it is not in this presentation, it is actually in the child nutrition presentation that I sent home in conjunction with this. There is actually a slide in there, and that presentation came after I prepared this, so I do apologize, but I could actually send that particular slide number home Friday. In their presentation, they have a specific slide stating, if school is open, lunch must be served.
Should we also request to have
Okay.
that slide posted on our website?
I will definitely add it to the presentation.
Sure.
Okay,
It will
thank you.
definitely
I
be
think that's fair.
amended. I apologize for not having it in there.
Mr. Curie, though, there are troubleshoot solutions for that, though. that
100%
could-
correct. It
Yeah,
is
so,
a shelf-
so we
it
could
is
have
a
sub-plans
shelf-stable-
and have.
It is a shelf-stable meal.
Okay.
The only reason why that I said it was just, we encountered closing the kitchen down one time this year, and even with our best plans, I was unable to deliver that option based on that circumstance, and it's new to the district. It is new. Remember, December, I was coming up to the podium to recommend to the Board of Education to shut the Miller Avenue pre-order
I
program
do,
down.
I remember that.
If I could not allow for a program that allows them to have a serving line, we put a whole budget together to create a serving line, a point of sale system, to drum up additional business there. The cost for that, we were just about ready to make that recommendation. And then Governor Hochul said, universal meals 25-26. We put the brakes on, that program's operating at $120,000 loss for 25-26. So I say that because I was already trying to cut a program out in December due to staffing, but in the same breath, I'm standing here today due primarily because of the governor. I understand what her motives are, and I understand the purpose of it. I don't disagree with it. But having to deliver that, we just need to make sure that you guys know what all those moving parts are, and that is a commitment to us to get it done. If it means increasing salaries to try to increase the opportunity, whatever it does, because we are too far behind right now. If a community member says, well, why don't you outsource the program to one of the formerly two food service companies, Aramark or Whitson's? I will first turn them to a newsletter article, Whitson's laid off 150 people, and say, okay, I don't even have time to create a bid to go out for that service. That bid has to be approved by the state, and then Mr. Hayward, myself, Mr. Poole have to figure out a plan. I'm taking unit work away that belongs to the unit and convince them we're unable to hire people. So outsourcing the program for 25-26 isn't even an option, even if we wanted to consider it, if someone promised us the world that they're gonna get us staff.
I don't think any of us are even requesting or seeking that, Glenn. I think that, based on what I'm hearing from the rest of the board, I think that you've got an indication to proceed. Again, I just want to emphasize, what's that?
I was just discussing with Mr. Lewis.
Oh, were you done? I'm sorry, were you
where
done,
we
Henry? I'm
actually
sorry.
stood with it. So
I thought you were done.
I guess, you know, from the standpoint of what we've been saying tonight, you're basically saying it's a possibility, right? I see a 2-year off-ramp if it doesn't work out, maybe sooner, depending on what the obstacles are that are presented upon us, which I know you've presented at least 5 obstacles that I think are
Reasonable.
things we need to work out with.
Yeah.
So you know, with that said, if we try this and it doesn't work, we can always pull out, right? Okay.
Anyone else have anything they want to add? Okay, so I think we have indication, Glenn,
Great.
for you and Sarah.
Yep.
And I do want to just state, I don't underestimate the amount of work that's going to have to go into this to stand this up. I think it is a good benefit for the community to try it. Not only just try it, but to put it into place. I think the advantage this year that changed things was the state had a reimbursement rate on top of the federal government that we haven't tried. So, and Sarah, we've seen your work firsthand in the past. I remember your book where you shared with us all the recipes by scratch and all the commitment that you have to our district. So I think all of us are grateful for the ongoing commitment that you and the team have to the food service that's provided here. I just think this is a good advantage overall for our district to try and to put in place for families. So,
Mr. Sheridan, what's the expectation for reporting back to the board in terms of progress and how this is proceeding? Like, are we being successful with it? Are we not being successful? You know,
yeah, I think
I don't
that's
know
a
that I
great
want to
point.
wait 2 years if that's right. If we know
I think,
early on.
I know Mr. Arcuri, I think that means he's already got the application filled out, ready to go, and in the mail, just kidding. I think that the expectation would be, we have our reorganization meeting, I think we set it up for the 11th of July right now, is to get an update on the
We're gonna-
submission, right? Go ahead.
We will actually have the resolution to join the program on the July 11th agenda.
Yep.
So that the board could take action, so I could get the necessary signatures to submit this application for the July 11th meeting.
Do you need it, do you need it prior to that, Glenn? Would you need it faster?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I will reconvene with Sarah, and we
Okay.
will develop that plan, but I think July 11th is fine.
Okay, great.
And as far as updates, one of the requirements of this program is mandatory reporting. So as part of the process, if you don't mandatorily report reimbursable meal counts, I think it's the 61st day, you now can't claim the 30 days. So
Okay.
these mandated reporting windows are going to be how we're doing. So you already get profit and loss activity reports. Now we're going to be getting reporting reports along with those to say, okay, how is the participation? How is it going? So we will definitely be reporting monthly as to how the activity is happening. I don't suggest you look at monthly as a snapshot, because I buy a lot of material in 1 month, I might use it over 3 months. Look at it as a quarterly operational activity, and we'll see how we're doing, but definitely reporting is going to be
Yeah, it looks like.
critical.
Yeah,
'cause
and
it
when I
says-
say reporting, right, I mean, you both have, your entire staff has my confidence in you guys being successful. In terms of what you need to do, I know you'll try your best to do that. The reporting piece is that data set of, well, what's happening out in the community, right? What are the students actually purchasing, and how does that impact us? That's the reporting, right? So when I say reporting, I just want to, it's not like, what are
Say
you
reporting.
doing reporting back to us on
I
it
got you.
being successful? Is
I'm sorry.
what's the reality of this program in our community, right? So I just wanted to be clear on that. I'm not looking at you guys reporting back, oh, we're
I
doing good or
understand.
not good, right?
I think it's critical to what Ms. Anderson said earlier also. As long as the district, the Board of Education is making this commitment, so that when and if there's questions on the community Facebook page questioning what's being served and how it's changed, and
Those are data points, right? I would love
Correct.
to hear those people come here and talk about it, right?
I agree.
I'm sorry, I beat you to it, probably that's what
you
you were
did.
gonna
It's
say.
exactly what I just wanted to say, to make sure that we are piloting an opportunity for more people to have access to food. It's very, very hard to say no when there's free money on the table. Very difficult.
I think I have a good assignment for our new future student ex officio board members to do the lunch trial program here at the high school.
Good idea.
Do videos
Actually
of them.
like that idea.
Mr. Sharon, before we turn the page, I just, Sarah, you and your team, I just want to tell you that we're incredibly grateful for your creativity and everything that you've done with this program. Yeah, there's some complexities here that's causing a shift. I just think that we feel in good faith to the community that we have to try it, but We appreciate everything that you've done, and we're looking forward to, we appreciate your support in this change. Thank you.
I just want to add, if the community's listening, this is typically, to join the National School Lunch Program is typically an 8 to 10 month lead time. We've had April, we have the end of April, May, June,
Yeah.
July, and August. And most districts getting the free meals from New York State or don't have the hurdle of the national school. They're already in it. So it's just a matter of submitting the right paperwork and getting the check back from the state. It's not so for you.
Thanks for pointing that out, Jen.
Thank you.
This is a nearly impossible ask, and I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I also am very empathetic to, kid hunger, and I don't want anyone to be hungry or suffer. I just want to make that clear too. I'm very empathetic to families' needs, and it's a tough one. I've tried
Yes.
to,
Yeah, I agree with you, Katie, and I think, Glenn said it best too with your comments just now. There are probably some children in our district, families that are unwilling to fill out a free lunch application, maybe because of stigmatism, I don't know, but I think that will open it up for everyone, kind of serving everyone.
and that's a good thing.
You
That's
know,
good.
so again, we as a board, I think you catch this sentiment, Sarah, we're all cognizant of what this heavy lift is gonna be. Jerry just mentioning what you're gonna probably do in 2 months is normally 8 months. So don't think that doesn't go unrecognized. And we obviously look forward to supporting what that is, that need, and hearing from you all on what that is. So that's all I think we could say for now, right? Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along. Next up is votes and resolutions. Ms. Kirschus, I think everyone was here, right? Yeah, for the, June 10th, I'm just thinking. Approval of the June 10th regular public meeting minutes. May I get a motion, please? Katie, second, Mike. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? 6-0. Approval of our May 2025 Treasurers Report. May I get a motion, please? Megan, second Katie. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? 6-0. Approval of the CPSE, CSE, and 504 meeting summary memo dated June 11th, 2025. May I get a motion? Katie, second Henry. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? 6-0. Next is approval of policy, first reading. Ms. Kirschers, are you reading this for us, or what are we doing on this one?
I'm just going to name it. It's policy 5695. It's titled Students and Personal Electronic Devices. It's a new policy recommended by the New York State for adoption, and language is already revised by NYSBA. The committee clarified some language for adoption.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. May I get a motion, please? Jamel, second. Katie. Mike, discussion or questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yep.
So I know there was an earlier version that we saw, or we read earlier. Is there an option for students to contact their parents via email? I know there's a restriction on firewall, but could parents establish even a Gmail account that they could, something simple? Hey, I forgot my gym shorts, or hey, I'm staying after for school. Something simple like that kids can, during a break on their Chromebook, contact their parents?
I think that's a possibility. I think one of the things that was discussed at the district committee with stakeholders was ensuring that students could get message out to families, whether that was additional phone opportunities at the high school or it could be email. Wasn't a required part of the policy, but we're definitely going to work on that. That's I would say it's a possibility, but I don't know all the ins and outs.
Yeah, even if there's one extension. I'm not saying to open up the firewall for every single email out there, but if we tell parents, a lot of people probably have Gmail accounts, or you can create one very easily, at least then the kids got their Chromebook could, again, send an email out pretty quickly to their parents.
We'll have to look into that just to make sure that it's a singular outreach and that students don't have a wide open ability to email whoever they wanted to. So, but I don't want to say no. We're definitely going to look into that.
Mr. Poole, does Student Square allow students to message on their Chromebook to Parent Square?
It's a good question. I do not know the answer to that, so that's
Student Square.
That might be the best
Yeah.
option, because then you have,
That's
Like, is there a
interesting.
Student Square
Kate-
app on our app
yeah.
menu?
I mean, I
In
think
the
we're only
Chromebook?
looking at that secondary, right? Correct?
Student Square at the high school and the middle school, yeah.
But that we only have email secondary, correct?
Kids have a Chromebook, they
Yeah.
they potentially have an email address.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
Mhm.
not that, it may not be active, but there would be one there.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll take that away. Thank you,
So when we enact this policy, in terms of what we're just discussing tonight, what's the communication protocol before September, right? So September's gonna be here before you know it. Am I on?
The law requires that parents be notified of how to notify the school, how to notify the school district, so that will be, continue to be phone calls to the main office, continue to be the ability to be email. I'll be the first one to say we have some work to do on how to use the hold button. So that might be some training that we do. So if somebody calls, there's a human on the line. That's some work that we will do. As far as students reaching out to home, parents will be notified that students absolutely will have the ability to phone home if they need to during the school day. And like I said, as Mike asked, we'll have to take a look at what are some other options students have for communicating at home. At the secondary level, there's only so many phones. Is there a rationale or a place to put semi-private phones for students when they have an off period? Especially at the secondary level where they have a lot of things going on after school, at the middle school and at the high school, which is really at the high school, the genesis for our policy for this year, which was students had access during non-instructional times, partly to support home-to-school communication.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay, so I got a first and second motion. May I get a vote on this? All in favor? Megan, okay, 6-0. I think any amendments to that, Jerry, would probably come for the second read, right, obviously?
Yeah, if there's
Okay.
if we get any
Updates to
feedback
that?
or,
Okay.
we can certainly make the amendments for the second reading.
Thank you. Next up are our curriculum and instruction resolutions. There are 6 of these. Okay to take them as a block? Okay, great. They go from 2425-260 to 2425-265. May I get a motion, please? Katie, second Megan. Any discussion or questions on these? All good? All in favor? 6-0. Next up are human resource resolutions. There are 3 of these. Is it okay to take them as a block? Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Okay,
okay
great.
with it.
May I get a motion, please? Megan, second Katie. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? 6-0. Next up are business and operations resolutions. I'm going to call out the first one on its own. We're voting for 2425-269. I'm going to get a motion, please. Jim L., second. Katie? All in favor? 5-0. Henry, what would you like to vote?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, thank you. So 5-0-1. Thank you very much. Next part of the section is 2425-270 through 2425-280. There are 13 total resolutions. I'm going to ask you to take them as a block. Everyone okay with that?
Tom, I think you need to amend
Do I have to do what now?
279.
What did I do, Mike? I'm sorry. 279, Mike?
Yeah, it's authorizing the purchasing agent to perform duties until our next meeting. Originally it was July 7th through July 1st through July 7th. It has to be July 11th.
Okay. Good catch. So can I
Is that right?
do that one as amended? Do I pull that out, or do I just as amended, effective July 11th?
You want- Someone else can just double check that. Is that right?
Yeah, I think you're right, Mike. I think that's exactly right.
Okay.
Because it says even within it, of the July 7th reorg meeting, we'll have to update that to the 11th, is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yes?
agree with you.
Okay, great, thank you.
Good catch. So I'm going to amend 2425-279 just to authorize the purchasing agent as of our reorganization meeting, which will be July 11th, 2025, and then be resolved further that on the date of the reorganization meeting, July 11th, 2025, as amended. So I'll put those back as a block then. If that's okay, we're going to vote on 2425. Let me get the numbers again real quick out there. Just want to get this right. So 2425, 270 through 2425, 282. There are 13 total resolutions. May I get a motion, please? Katie, second Henry. Any discussion or questions?
Yeah, I just had a question
Please.
around Mr. Arcuri, 2425, 271, 272. Is there any impact for since we're moving forward with universal free lunch and being in contract on those?
No, just by awarding the bid gives us the opportunity to make the purchase at that awarded price, but doesn't require us to purchase the products that we actually bid for.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Good question, Jim. All right, okay. So I think I had a motion and a second. All in favor? 6-0. Next up is our personnel. May I get a motion on personnel, please? Henry, second. Jamel, any discussion or questions? All in favor? 6-0. Ms. Kirschus, are there any communications?
No.
Okay. Any other discussion from the board? Okay. Well, this was a great night celebrating our retirees, and appreciate again Glenn Akuri doing the lunch presentation. Any additional comments from anyone? Okay, we're going to vote to adjourn. May I get a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting? Katie, second Jamel. All in favor?